The 100th season of Falmouth Commodores baseball gets underway from the Gov.
Swing and a miss. Strike three call. That's a fair ball down the line. The Doors are gonna score. That ball is way gone.
And it all starts right now.
The Falmouth Commodores welcome in the Orleans Firebirds. Cross-divisional action here on the Commodores Baseball Network. Hi, everybody. I'm Zach Stank alongside Matt Venezia. Glad you joined us tonight. Should have a fun night of baseball between these two teams that have been pretty even throughout the season, and the records show something similar.
Absolutely. Both teams are playing relatively good baseball. The Doors have won 5 of the last 6. They're working their way back into the middle part of this division. Meanwhile, in what's been a much weaker East Division, these guys are hanging right there near the top and second.
Some playoff clinching scenarios tonight, but we'll get into those as we get throughout the game. Got to talk about yesterday, and when you talk about yesterday for Falmouth, it's got to be Luke Heyman.
It was the Luke Heyman game, no doubt about it. The 2-run home run got the Doors going, a 3-run first inning on the road at Stony Brook Field. Came back with it with a 2-run single later on in the 9th inning, and that big explosive inning. He started the ball game well, and he closed it out for the Doors offensively. He's back behind the plate tonight.
And on the other side for Orleans, no Joe Oyama at the top of the order for the Firebirds, so instead it'll be their other all-star starter on the infield in Jack Penny.
That's the important part. You said the all-star. This lineup's got a good amount of them here. Right now it looks like there's about a couple of guys you're going to want to keep an eye on, but Jack Penny being one of them. He's got a 4-game hitting streak, but the last time these Firebirds were here, struggled in that outing, going 0 for 5. But something about the road teams in this matchup that we'll probably talk about a little bit later, Zach. But nonetheless, Penny's always a guy you want to keep an eye on.
History on the side of the Firebirds over the last couple of years leading into this one. We'll let you know more about that in a few, but we're going to send it down to the third member of our team, Destiny Sanchez. Take it away, Destiny.
Thanks, guys. It's been a little bit since Falmouth has seen Orleans. Last was at Eldridge Park, where Bazana had his infamous 5-for-5 game hitting for the cycle, and the Doors ultimately ended with a 6-3 win in Eldridge Park. Now, the Orleans is here at Gov Fuller, is looking to win the season series against the Firebirds. Falmouth can also clinch a playoff spot tonight with a win or a tie, and if Gatemen lose tonight. So it's a lot of competition here at the Cape, and it's crunch time here at the Cape League, and it's only getting more exciting. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Destiny. We're going to be keeping an eye on that game between the Gatemen and the Harwich Mariners at Spillane Field tonight. There's still a lot of time left, but for Falmouth, you'd love to find yourself with a playoff spot locked up heading into the off day and then heading into that final 6-game stretch before we get into the playoffs starting next Friday.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a couple different things that are going to come down to it, but as Destiny said there, you want to find a way to win. The point being is that the magic number's down to 3 for Falmouth, so any sort of combination that would get you a 3-point swing in terms of Falmouth winning, you get 2, a tie earns you 1. You got to keep an eye on the Gatemen, too, with what they have going on later tonight as well. So we'll do some scoreboard watching. We'll do some updating here throughout the broadcast, but you'd like to see if the Doors can find a way here to keep that streak going, turn this into a 4-game stretch of wins in a row. And, again, you just keep this going into the off day. It was a 3-game stretch of having games after the previous off day we just had. If you go 3-0 in that nice stretch of time, you like the way that things are looking.
Falmouth has quietly won 5 of 6 games to get themselves back into their winning ways after a little bit of a midseason slump. They started slow, got red hot, and then slumped a little bit. Now 5 of 6 has gotten the Doors to their best record of the season, 3 games above 500.
And even you look back at that Wareham game in the neutral site there over in Buzzards Bay, it was not the best of efforts there from Falmouth, no doubt about it. It was a game that they probably still deserved to win. The craziness in that 8th inning with all those walks and ultimately losing that game 5-2 to the Gatemen, you take that away, this team is red hot. There's no doubt about it. And it's funny that we see that the Doors, is playing as well as they are, have played so well, but the third best team in this division is also the third best record-wise team in the Cape League. That's just the way it's working out here in the West.
We'll have to see how this one goes, but before we get started, we're going to send it down to the field for the national anthem with our PA announcer, Brendan Capozzi.
If you're able to honor America. Singing the national anthem tonight is Hope Blanchard. She is a country recording artist and songwriter in Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. She is originally from Falmouth and is a 2017 graduate of Falmouth High School. She just recently released her self-titled debut EP.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Tonight's ceremonial first pitch, representing his teammates of Bat Kids, is Wes Morneau. Wes is in his second season with the Commodores as a rising 7th grader at Moses Brown School in Providence, Rhode Island. He plays shortstop for the Arden Aces of the Fox Point Eastside Little League. The highlight of his summer is being the host family to Falmouth Commodore Luke Heyman. And now, for the 2 words we love to hear, we'd like to welcome all of our Falmouth Commodores Bat Kids. Let's hear it.
Play ball!
About ready to get underway from Gov Fuller Field. New Orleans Firebirds taking on Jacob Smith, and they bring a pretty tough lineup to the plate mat.
That they do. We talked about Joe Ayama not being in the lineup here today. That's actually a good thing for Falmouth because he's been hitting the ball lights out. Has collected 4 home runs over the last couple of games for a guy that hadn't had any through the first 27. So good that he's not going to be in the starting lineup. But everywhere else you look, it's a pretty good team. You got 2 All-Stars there leading off with Jack Penny and then Matt Hall back there in the cleanup role. Outside of those guys, this is a lineup that the Doors have fared relatively well against. 2-1 this season with Open Carpellotti there down in the bottom half. He's behind the plate, offers a good bat in there as well. Nonetheless, again, this is a team that can certainly do it right up there at second in this East Division. Still with a lot to play for. Still could technically catch YD for the top spot. It would take a lot of winning and a lot of Red Sox losing, but you never know in the Cape League with how good the rosters are, and one right here stands out.
Teams can definitely get hot really quickly. We've seen both of these teams do that at different points throughout this season. Orleans, the last time they were here, they were in the bottom of the the East Division, and then they got themselves going and pushed their way all the way up to where they are now. But a tough test awaits them with Jacob Smith getting the start for Falmouth.
Jacob Smith has been really, really good since coming in. He's getting ready for start number 3 on the Cape so far, 18-4 in that ratio of strikeouts to walks. He's been so good. Had a season high against Bourne in his not most recent start. It was his second start here for Falmouth. Picked up 7 Ks. He's good. Out of West Alabama, you know you're getting good stuff out of him, and we'll probably hear from him in a little bit later, too. He's going to join us on the broadcast after the start. But anytime Big Bird takes the mound, you always have a shot. He's been keeping opponents pretty limited so far here in the Cape.
We'll see what he can do tonight. Got a lot of different pitches he's going to throw at this lineup. He can get the strikeout, as you mentioned, but he's going to try and let the ball get put in play a little bit for this defense behind him.
Yes, absolutely. And the way things are looking, this lineup's exactly identical to what we saw yesterday at Stony Brook Field. Still dealing with some day-to-day injuries to a couple of the Falmouth defensive players, and what that allows is more consistency. And when you have an offense that put up as many runs as the Doors did yesterday in that 8-3 win against Brewster, you probably want to run out with similar numbers here. But once again, Walker Yannick, the backstop, he's going to be at third base once again, just getting comfortable over there at the hot corner, which is never a bad thing. Just shows off your versatility and adds another tool to his toolbox that maybe he wasn't entirely expecting.
Smith's getting ready to go to work, and Orleans ready to bring that offense to the plate. Our umpires today, Joe LaBella is the home plate umpire. Drew Hoagland down the first base line. David Gabor down the third base line.
And a guy right there, Gavin Turley. Seeing him throw a little bit. I mean, he's been red hot. Gavin Turley quietly, maybe not quietly, but I mean, from where he started, has a 6-game hitting streak going for him right now. And he's been seeing the ball very, very well. Has a couple of extra base hits over the stretch of the last couple of games. Had a double and a home run yesterday. You'd like to see that continue here for Falmouth and trying to win the season set here against the Firebirds.
Had himself a double and a homer yesterday and a double and a homer the day before. He's racking up the extra base hits in bunches right now as he's heating up. Middle of this order for Falmouth. Jack Penny getting ready to lead us off. A little after 6 o'clock on this Wednesday night from Falmouth. Jack Penny digs in out of Notre Dame. From this area, the Boston area, out in Wakefield, Massachusetts. He's been good, especially as of late, for this Orleans team. Helped him earn an all-star nod. First pitch from Smith upstairs on the fastball and starts us off at 6:02 p.m. from the Gov. Jacob Smith out of West Alabama. Been around a few different places, but brings that infectious personality wherever he goes.
He's a very likable and personable dude up there on the mound. You folks have seen it when he's joined us in the broadcast booth. We'll get to talk to him about this specific start here today when he joins us later during the 7th inning.
Struggling to find the zone early right now. You mentioned that 18-4 strikeout to walk ratio. Well, he's down 3-0. First man in the lineup in Penny. He did surrender a leadoff walk in his last start as well against Harwich. Walked Seaver King. Catches the corner on the 3-0. Keeps this at bat alive. Hoping to not have a repeat performance of that first AB against Harwich, but the Doors shut out the Mariners in that game, so I think Smith will take a repeat performance of it overall. Goes right back to the same spot and runs it full 3-2.
Yeah, using that outer third here. It's funny, when you have all the pitches that he uses early on in the ballgame, when you fall behind 3-0, obviously there's a lot of options to go to, but it's kind of, what do I think will get me back into the, not only the count, but just to find something over the plate for a strike. He's done it now in 2 consecutive pitches.
Payoff is the breaking ball that doesn't come back far enough. Missed it inside, and it's a leadoff walk. Something that has bit the doors quite a bit over the last week or so. Really, the one thing that hasn't been clicking has been really the strike throwing. A lot more walks than we saw in that middle stretch of the summer.
Absolutely, and again, this is a Falmouth group that does it here and there, but more recently than not. As you mentioned, 162, now 163 of the free passes surrendered. That's 5th in the Cape League. You just can't let it hurt you, and that's something that the Doors, to this point in the summer, have been pretty solid in right now. And you mentioned the stretch of time. Right now, 3 games above 500 is the best mark you've been at all year.
Trying to increase it today. Jack Penny has pretty good speed over at first. Farrow, line drive out to left, but Turley's got it. Fastball middle, but it doesn't hurt Smith there.
Got a really good piece on that baseball, and Gavin Turley, with respect to Drew Farrow, was already playing out there relatively deep and left, so he didn't have to open his hips and retreat. He just had a long back pedal going for him, and the wind's blowing out pretty aggressively out that way to left center, and on the pull side of Drew Farrow, switch hitter there from the right side. He didn't miss that one by a whole lot, but Gavin Turley is able to put it in his pocket and make the play.
Check over on Penny at first. This Orleans team doesn't steal many bases. 32 stolen bags this summer. That's 9th in the Cape. Big curveball to start him off. He goes to that pitch a lot. He's got the deep curve. He's also got a slurve that he works with. But that one just kind of has a lot of north-south movement and really drops in on hitters. Micheletti headed to Virginia Tech next season. Spent the last 3 years at George Washington. Pitch misses outside. 1-1 to Micheletti. Micheletti has been around the Orleans Firebirds for most of his life. Started with his family coming to Orleans when he was 7 years old. And now getting a chance to play for him this summer. He's made the most of the opportunity.
There's a couple of those local guys here around the Cape, even beyond their playing days currently. I mean, Steve Cishek, as a advisor and helper to the general manager, helping back with some of the arms here. He grew up in Falmouth, went on to the major leagues.
Good fastball from Smith gets him back into the count again. He's had success with that pitch for the most part, but just trying to find himself that rhythm early in this game.
Yeah, he's been getting a lot of strikes called there behind the plate from Joe LaBella, which has been helpful for him to climb back in the counts, and so far he's fell behind him.
Goes off speed on the 2-2 and gets the punch out. Micheletti's retired, and Jacob Smith well on his way to working around that leadoff walk.
Slow motion swing there. Appears like that one could have been that slider or sweeper pitch that he likes to use. But nonetheless, that's a good pitch to throw and kind of a half-hearted effort from Eddie Micheletti, a guy that hit .384 this year at George Washington. He doesn't swing like that too often, and that's when you know your stuff works, when you get a hitter of his caliber looking a little bit off there.
I'll check on Penny again.
Zach, that's a really good pickoff move from Jacob Smith. I mean, his head was on line with Heyman with eyeballs to the catcher and then still made his move over to Tyler McGregor. Caught me off guard.
Good curveball. Gets himself ahead of Hallback. Hallback has played all 3 games against Falmouth so far on the summer for Orleans. Had himself a multi-hit game against the Doors earlier this year back at Eldridge Park. Had an RBI single in the first game between these two at Gov Fuller Field way back on June 20th.
Yeah, it was a while ago. It was a good game. We saw a Deuce Gorson home run, gave Falmouth the lead, and then the Firebirds came right back and then added some insurance in the 9th inning. The Doors couldn't quite complete that comeback.
Breaking ball inside, Hallback doing a nice job to lay off it. Hallback last year was in the West Coast League. He was teammates with Joe Oyama out in the West Coast League, who won West Coast League MVP, and the year before that, the West Coast League MVP, Travis Pizzana. It's a small world, the world of college baseball. Get a lot of those connections all over the place.
Yeah, partner, to go back to your note on the last time they matched up here, Falmouth fell to 2-5-2. That was amidst of the stretch of the 3 wins to the first 15. Got 16 wins since that game.
Blooper out to right field to Barry Walsh, and Smith sits down the next 3 after the leadoff walk. Puts up a 0 in the top of the first. The Doors bats to the plate on the other side of the break. Still scoreless. Bottom of the first inning from the Gov, and the Doors trying to keep that lineup hot. Same lineup as yesterday, Matt. Running out there this time against the Firebirds.
Exactly right. I mean, you got a lot of bats that are swinging it real well right now. You can kind of look anywhere you want and find a lot of success. I mean, Barry Walsh right out of the gate has a 3-game hitting streak since being here in Falmouth. Travis Bazzana, the cycle game, last time he saw these Firebirds, all the way down to a guy like Caleb Hall, who in his debut 2 nights ago had 4 hits.
Jonathan Gonzalez will take the rubber against him. Trying to get things done. 3-pitch guy, fastball, slider, changeup, a whole lot of fastball, changeup. Even in lefty-lefty matchups, Matt, he's going to go to that off-speed pitch and use the changeup more often than the slider.
He's a Stetson guy. Had 7 starts over 18 appearances this year at school. Went 8-4, the 4.13 ERA. 91 strikeouts to 17 walks. He does it a lot by himself, and that's part of the reason why there you get a half-hearted swing there from Barry Walsh because of his effectiveness in his pitches.
Pulls the chopper foul. Gonzalez quickly ahead at 1-2. Two and 1 record, 2.07 ERA so far this summer for the Stetson Hatter. Good AB worked by Walsh. Seen a lot of those changeups early. Punches him out with the heater. Good sequence. Finds that inside corner. And an early strikeout for Gonzalez.
That's a good pitch. And able to help out his defense that we see there. I mean, anywhere you look, there's some good numbers here. Fenwick Tremble out of James Madison. He's real good out there in the outfield, has a lot of assists this season. And as we mentioned, Carpelotti's behind the plate, catching the balls and strikes.
That one's a strike. Starts off Bazzana with that fastball. Then goes to the changeup, tries to put him in the same spot. He's been locating pretty well early. Out in front on another changeup, and Bazzana once again down in the count. It's 1-2.
It's got some interesting movement there. Almost comes back on his arm side. Sort of mimics like a circle change there, and he throws it again right there.
This one way down. Bazzana not willing to chase it. 5 for 5 the last time these teams met back on July 8th. This time, he's went from 1-2 to 3-2.
And you think that has a lot to do with, looking at the scouting report as to why we're seeing this. A lot of change-ups, heavy dose of the pitches off the plate, but right here, one over the plate.
Mazzana finds himself another hit. Leadoff single to this game for him, and a one-out base runner for Falmouth.
Well, you just got to be careful. I mean, that's another one of those change-ups that one got a little bit more plate on it, though. Settled down, according to TrackMan, in the bottom third of this zone. And Mazzana, if you give him all those pitches, he's such a good hitter with those mental notes in the box, pitch by pitch. He stays with that, drives it on a line, comes off at 98 off the bat for the Doors' first hit tonight.
Now Walker Yannick digs in, and he'll start ahead in the count 1-0. Yannick didn't find himself any hits yesterday, but got on base 3 times. A couple of walks and a hit by pitch. Check on Mazzana. See it so often where he's back in before the ball's even left the pitcher's hand when it's coming back because of the way that he gets that lead. He's just so quick to go either direction. Yannick swings through the changeup to even it up.
Yeah, you weren't kidding, Zach, with the heavy dose of these changeups. Could argue it's his dominant pitch when trying to. We'll see what happens when he falls behind 2-0 or even 3-0. If he wants to just go with a fastball or keep hitters off balance with that other pitch.
Yannick singles into right. Mazzana with his speed is going to move on up first to third. They're on the corners with one away. Falmouth trying to strike first.
So after all those changeups, got that confident wave and a miss, decides to go with a fastball off the plate, and Yannick able to take it the other way and stay with it. That's a really sharp piece there. You got back-to-back pitches going off at 95 off the bat. And the Doors are in business here early against the Firebirds.
Now Tyler McGregor looking for a productive at-bat here. Normally you would think something on the ground to the right side. That might still work, but there's a big shift from Orleans. Anything on the ground to the left side is going to find the outfield, more than likely.
And even with that said, you've got Stallman playing relatively close to that third base bag. He's in on the grass. You would expect with that shift that maybe he would move closer to the shortstop position.
I think he probably will if we get to a 2-strike situation on McGregor. We'll find out right here. Might just want to be holding on Mazzana as well. And he's going to stay closer to that third base bag.
Now just a little bit more off the line, as you can see there. A little bit deeper, too, in the position instead of being in on the grass.
3 pitches, 3 changeups, and down goes McGregor.
That's a really big second out. And with the changeup, as you mentioned, that's his strikeout pitch. We said he had 91 of them this year at school at Stetson. Gotta believe that the majority of them were used with that pitch too, and especially left on left. I mean, it's real tough because this is a guy too that has a breaking ball pitch like a slider that's going to run away too. So when you see something slower out of the hand at first, you got to recognize the spin. If it's spinning a lot, it's probably diving off the plate away.
Luke Heyman, first pitch swinging, finds himself another RBI. The Florida Gator stays hot. Third single of the inning for Falmouth, and it's 1-0 Doors.
Well, after all those doses of changeups and swing and misses from McGregor, Luke Heyman in the on-deck circle gets one right away. Better pitch here. This one wasn't left up in the zone. It's off the plate and down, and yet Luke Heyman's still able to dig deep and find that baseball and shoot it off the bat into left. He's got 5 RBIs in the last game and change right now. Heyman's swinging a real hot bat. That's why he was our player of the game to highlight.
Another guy that's been swinging a hot bat that we mentioned is Gavin Turley. He's got a chance for some more ribbies. Takes the fastball to start him off. Very highly touted recruit. Headed to Oregon State. Highest rated prospect in the history of that storied program in Corvallis. Turley hits that one hard out to center. King's got good speed though, and he'll run it down in the gap for out number 3. But not before Falmouth finds a way to get on the board on 3 hits against Jonathan Gonzalez. 1-0. Commodores in front. Headed to the second from the Gov.
The Falmouth Commodores have been part of the heartbeat of Falmouth since 1923. Thousands of fans flock to Gov Fuller Field each season to see future Major League ball players working to reach their dreams. All of this wouldn't be possible without the generous support of our sponsors. As a nonprofit volunteer organization, the Commodores raise funds to cover operational costs. Fans support the local businesses who back the Commodores. It's what community is all about. There are so many ways we incorporate our sponsors into the fun, whether it be banners, print ads in our program, mentions on public address and broadcast, as well as in-game experiences. So however you support the Falmouth Commodores, we thank you.
Falmouth with an early lead. Give some run support to Jacob Smith. It's 1-0 Doors, head to the second.
If you remember, a couple of starts ago, the Doors did that for Jacob Smith in the Born Brave game over at Doran Park, helping these arms out early. You had it yesterday for Evan O'Toole with 3 runs right out of the gate, Zach, and that's been the trend of this team right now. Helping early, scoring runs early.
Scoring early is a good sign for this Falmouth team. 12-3 this summer. When scoring the first run of the ball game, they're hoping to make it 13-3 tonight. Brandon Stallman digging in out of Charlotte, the first time that he has seen any Falmouth pitching this summer. Really good breaking ball. Looked like that slurve from Jacob Smith to start off Stallman. All-tournament team in the Conference USA. First ever Conference USA title for Charlotte. Found their way all the way to a regional final. Out in the Clemson Regional. Dropped to Tennessee, who ended up making that run all the way to Omaha. Smith going right back to that breaking ball again. He's finding success throwing that for strikes, and as an indicator this summer, when he's been throwing the breaking balls for strikes, good luck.
He's got so many, too. He just keeps hitters off balance.
That one not in for a strike, trying to see if he can get Stallman to chase it. Jacob Smith might be the last guy on the Cape that you'd want to fall behind. Just because of the pure amount of pitches that he throws, he can put you away in so many different ways. The 2-2. Laid off it again. Went back to that same pitch. Really trying to tempt Stallman, and he's worked himself back full.
Zach, not only that, I mean, he's seeing 6'7", 230. So he is attacking you when he's making his motion towards the mound. He basically steps into the infield grass in front of the pitcher's mound by the time he releases the baseball.
Payoff. Breaking ball low and away, back-to-back innings with a leadoff walk for Orleans.
On a full count, too. Fighting pitches, working at bats, laying off all those breaking balls. They're not bad pitches. They certainly are looking effective, and he's got a good feel for all of them right now. And the fastball, too, when he wants to go to it. But just didn't get a wave and a miss there like we saw Eddie Micheletti go down on. And now it forces Smith to work out of the stretch and to keep tabs on another base runner.
Now Eddie King Jr. steps up. He's got a lot of speed from that box. Actually, Eddie King Jr. My apologies. That one just barely below the knees. And a hitter ahead now for Orleans 2-0. Trying to work his way back. Fall behind 3-0. We talked about the walks, Matt. They've been such a big factor over the last couple of weeks for the Doors pitching staff. And Jacob Smith had 4 entering today. He's already got 2 and is at a major risk of 3. And it will be 3. Back-to-back walks to lead off the inning. Firebirds with the tying run in scoring position and nobody out.
And obviously it's still early, but it has been a trend. It has been something we've seen, and now you're going to see Luke Heyman have a conversation. But not only that, Travis Bazzana, right into your picture right now, he's going to have a talk too. He's a veteran of these guys out there and so vocal. And it could just be something too of maybe what he sees over at the shortstop position, maybe with the strides and maybe what he's reading from a defensive standpoint. The shortstop's supposed to be the leader of the infield, and while he maybe is typically used to being on the other side of the middle infield at second, Travis Bazzana is a good vocal baseball player who, if he's got something to tell you there to just, whether it's to calm guys down or settle guys in, he's going to do it. And that's a nice job of him taking command of the situation here, and we'll see if it pays dividends for the Doors.
Well, it's Fenwick Trimble who steps up. He struggled as of late, 2 for 23 in his last 10 games, but he does have a home run against Falmouth on the season and a lot of potential in that bat. One of the best hitters for James Madison this season in their move to the Sun Belt.
Well, Fenwick Trimble is the Cam Smith of the Firebirds because he is 5 for 10 against this Falmouth group, has had good success against the Doors in the 3 matchups.
Smith finds the zone there, a much-needed strike. Get him into this count. He worked around the leadoff walk in the first. It's going to be much tougher to work around back-to-back walks to lead off this second. Falmouth's offense putting up that run back in the first, getting some good swings off of Jonathan Gonzalez. Firebirds haven't had much in terms of swings off this team. There's a liner to short, and you'll take that. An unproductive out is out number 1.
Yeah, just got kind of jammed a little bit on a fastball up and in there. Did Fenwick Trimble, and right there is Travis Bazzana. Gave the base runners time, and Brandon Stallman and Eddie King Jr. to get back. It was only 84 miles per hour off the bat. But like you said, really, really good unproductive out needed for Falmouth there. And now you pick it up, and a ground ball should get you out of the inning.
Here's Owen Carpellotti, one of the best catchers in the country this season, the Buster Posey Award watch list. He was the Big East Freshman of the Year back in 2022 and a freshman All-American. This year, All Big East second team as his encore. Georgetown Hoya went to the University of Detroit Jesuit High School. Once again, Smith falling behind, though. It's 2-0.
Yeah, 3 of the 4 at-bats he's had in this inning, falling behind in that same count.
High fly ball. Not too deep, though. Humphreys calls him off. A good strong throw will hold up that runner at second. Back-to-back outs by Smith, and he's trying to find his way through it again.
Well, there's been a couple of fastballs he's had up in the zone. The one previous to Fenwick Trimble on the line out, that was more inside. Got him jammed on it a little bit on that weak line drive to Bazzana. That one is up, but right over the heart of the plate. You got to be real careful in that spot, especially against Carpellotti, who, as we've talked about in the Cape League, there's a ton of 1-2-3 hitters scattered through the 1 through 9 of every lineup. You got to be real careful, but nonetheless got underneath that fastball for that second out.
We talked about Luke Heyman's day for the Doors. Well, yesterday for Orleans, it was Colin Tuft who had himself a day. 2 for 3 with a home run in the Firebirds' win over Wareham. He comes up in a very similar spot to what we saw with Heyman in the last half inning. Now he gets a chance to try and tie this up for Orleans in the top of the second.
Obviously that effort helping the Doors out, getting that magic number shrink down to 3 is where it stands for the Doors and trying to get into the playoffs as early as tonight.
Big swing and a miss to make it 0-2. The magic number and all of that stuff in the Cape League here is done by points. For anyone unfamiliar with it, 2 points for a win, 1 point for a tie, and no points for a loss. And that's how we get to where we're at. Falmouth sitting at 40 points, Wareham at 28. And Falmouth can increase that lead tonight with a win and try and find themselves locked up in a playoff spot. Fastball comes off the hand and goes right to the backstop. Moves them both up, but there's 2 strikes and 2 outs. Smith's got a chance to get out of this still.
Yeah, not quite sure what happened there. Just a slow walk there from Heyman, just spreading some words there to Jacob Smith. Just the fastball that still came off hot, but just didn't really have a good location of that pitch at all. Got away, and that changes the situation. You still want to get the out at the plate, but now a base hit would score 2.
It's 1-2 to Colin Tuft. Just gets a piece of it. Stays alive. Tuft spent the last 2 seasons with Virginia. He's a Vienna, Virginia native. He was really highly touted going to UVA, but now will transfer to the American Conference and head to Tulane. 1-2. Ugly swing and a miss. Heyman slaps the tag on him, and Jacob Smith works himself out of trouble again. Falmouth in front, 1-0. Headed to the bottom of the second, but before we step aside, we're going to send it down to the field. Destiny Sanchez has a message from Cape Cod Healthcare.
Cape Cod Healthcare is proud to be the official healthcare sponsor of the Cape Cod Baseball League. When you need to be seen quickly for minor illness or injury, Cape Cod Healthcare Urgent Care provides a convenient and cost-effective treatment option with 6 locations across Cape Cod from Falmouth to Orleans. Open daily with no appointment needed and staffed by board-certified ER providers. View wait times at capecodhealth.org. Cape Cod Healthcare Urgent Care, minor emergencies, major attention. You're watching Falmouth Commodores baseball.
Seven, 8-9 for Falmouth with an early lead in the bottom of the second. Jonathan Gonzalez back to the mound. Starts off Humphreys with a ball in. Gonzalez, at least the family name, comfortable here at Gov Fuller Field. His older brother Chris pitched for the Commodores back in 2019. 35 innings across 8 starts. Also made a playoff start, so got up to 40 innings total. Humphreys working ahead in the count, trying to heat his back up. He was red hot, headed into the All-Star break, but struggled his last 2 games since.
But a good thing for Nate with all the shuffling of the cards, this is start number 7 in a row for him. He's found some consistency in center field. And because of that, that allows you to work on things as they come. It's not like, you go 0 for and then you don't play for a day or so. He's been able to work and adjust every single day.
Chopper over to second, and Farrow retires him. 1 up, 1 down here in bottom 2.
He's got on top of that one there. Easy play over there for Farrow at second. But again, it's just working with things, going back to the drawing board and finding a way for him. But during the midst of that stretch, he had 2 of the 3 games during that big hot streak of getting extra base hits. You look back at the game at Veterans Field, the home run he had to straightaway center field, a 5-2 win for Falmouth over there in Chatham.
Now Caleb Hall steps in. The last time he was here, he went 4 for 4 in his debut. Day 2, 0 for. But still trying to find himself going. He's still hitting 500. I think he'll take that. It's 1-2. To number 12 in Hall out of North Greenville. We talked in his debut about his numbers in the South Florida Collegiate League. Won the batting title down there, playing in Boca Raton. Bit different weather up here on the Cape than Boca Raton.
That's true. That's my birth city. Very familiar with Boca Raton. It's a great place in South Florida.
Hall goes down looking. Gonzalez, for the second time, paints that inside corner for the strikeout. That's his third punch out already.
Just runs a fastball there on the inside third. That's tough. It's right on the black here according to TrackMan, and the way he's been hitting the baseball, especially the last time he was here, probably not the one you want to attack, and just one of those borderline, do you swing at it? But nonetheless, it's been Joe LaBella pretty consistent back there behind the plate, so make mental note of that for the next at-bat.
Sean Darnell had a couple of opposite field singles yesterday in the win over Brewster. Trying to repeat that feat here. Back-to-back pitches in pretty similar spots, but that one a little bit lower and too low for Joe LaBella's liking. Darnell out in front of the breaking ball, and another batter that Gonzalez is in front of. That is something he has done pretty well today, but Bazana with a single, Yannick with a single, Heyman with a single, and then even the line out from Turley. Hit hard? That one's not, though. Darnell comes up empty. 4 strikeouts through the first 2 innings for Jonathan Gonzalez, but Falmouth with a 1-0 advantage headed to the third.
We called the boards. My name's Evan O'Toole. Hi, this is Travis Bazana from Oregon State University, and I'm going to be drawing our Beaver logo. I'm going to be drawing the Raging Cajuns logo. And I'll be drawing the Oklahoma State logo. Bad. All right, this is what I got. Okay. This is terrible, but it would have helped if we had some orange, but.
Wind is blowing, and that's helped to cool it off a little bit. It's been a sunny day in Falmouth and a good night for baseball.
Yeah, I think the Firebirds are pretty grateful for the wind coming in here because it's hot wearing those black jerseys today. The Doors feeling a little bit more cool in those white-on-white look that they have now, but nonetheless, you want to finish up a clean stretch of baseball here before that off day tomorrow, Zach, and good start to it now. We talked about it. You have 3 hits for the first time through the order. Despite the 4 strikeouts that Gonzalez has thrown on the mound, the top half of the order really saw him well. Now you want Jacob Smith to clean up his part of the order here, where you're now back to the top, where he put down the first 4 that he saw after the leadoff walk.
That leadoff walk was to Jack Penny. We'll see if Smith can find the zone against him this time. Starts with a fastball upstairs. And Penny once again ahead in the count. He got ahead 3-0 in that count. Smith worked it back full and then tried to throw the curveball back over the plate for a strike on the front door and couldn't find it. There's a fastball that evens it up.
He's lived down there on that outer third, especially against the lefties here. Fastball bottom left corner, able to just pick the spot. You're not looking for that if you're Jack Penny. It's a good way to find your first strike and hopefully win this 1-1 count.
Smith goes right back to the same spot, but this time throws the breaking ball. It's 1-2. Trying to continue to work some good stuff on the rubber. Fastball. First time Penny's taking the bat off his shoulder today and keeps himself alive for another pitch.
Elevating the fastball there. It's a good decision. after living off the plate and down, just to change the eye level and see if he can catch up, especially, as you mentioned, having not swung the bat yet because of that walk in the first at-bat he had.
Just off the plate on the 1-2. Really good take there from Penny.
Looked like the changeup there from Jacob Smith, just trying to live on the outer third.
Swinging 2-2, slices it out of play. He's going to continue to battle.
Penny walked 26 times at school this year. Not the biggest number in the world for a guy who played in 46 games. But he'll fight up there, as you mentioned, and we've already seen him work at bats into those later pitch counts.
Lays off the breaking ball. Another batter working a full count against Jacob Smith, trying to push that pitch count up early. Penny had a really good freshman year at Notre Dame. His sophomore year this year, a little up and down. Dealt with a couple injuries here and there, but he's been back and looking good this summer, earning the All-Star nod. Hits that one high and deep out to right. Walsh with a long run. He's going to look up, and we are tied. For the second time in as many meetings, Jack Penny has homered against the Doors, and it's even at 1 in the top of the third.
Jack Penny makes up for a tough outing last time these Firebirds were at the Gov. Went over in that one. He's reached twice, and with that one right there, the home run to tie it up. We talked about Jacob Smith with the fastball outer third. That's middle, and you cannot do that against some of these hitters, especially in a full count spot. Jack Penny shows you why, and we've found ourselves equal here in the third.
It's the first hit allowed by Jacob Smith. To this point, it had been just 3 walks. Now one swing of the bat makes it 1 apiece. Drew Farrow hit one hard, but right at Gavin Turley last time. Ugly swing on that 12-6 breaker from Smith, and it's 0-2.
That's a good response. Gets that big bending breaking ball.
Fastball upstairs on the 0-2.
That's the first time we've seen him try to work backwards a little bit, just trying to change up his approach. Second time through the order. You see that. Pitchers make mental notes through the first time seeing individual hitters in the lineup. Try something different there with Drew Farrow, who, as you mentioned, hit a really sharp baseball last time out to Gavin Turley and left.
Hits another one out to left. It's going to be the same result. Turley, a couple of steps back on it again, and Smith with a bounce back out.
Slowed him down a ton there. Went with 80 there. Changeup off the plate. And still to be able to pull that baseball, that was a conversation we had yesterday during the Brewster game. Obviously out in front of that changeup, maybe was looking for the fastball, but still was able to drive it pretty hard out there into left. That's a good out, good bounce back out picked up by Smith and the Doors defensively.
Smith goes right to the breaking ball against Micheletti. Struck him out on that pitch last time. No reason not to go back to it early here.
It's just such a tough pitch. I mean, it comes in at 69 miles per hour on the gun right now. I mean, it just floats and dives down with a good amount of spin.
Back to it again, and he's had 0-2. I want a slightly different off-speed pitch. I mentioned he's got so many. Once the curveball, then the changeup, and now we can go to a lot of other pitches here on 0-2.
You could call that pitch a lot of different things. It's just been one of those sweeper or, you know, it just depends. I mean, he like we said, he has 7 pitches and differentiates which of those 7 he wants to go to in a given game.
He's already used quite a few of them early in this game. Micheletti lays off the 1-2. Smith has consistently done one thing in this game. When he's been ahead, he's tried to get them to chase breaking balls away, and Orleans has been very disciplined tonight.
Absolutely, and especially with this bat here in Eddie Micheletti. I mean, he learned last time that he might get that pitch pretty heavily because he was way out in front of it in that strikeout back in the first.
Liner to short. Bazana snags another one. Fastball outside, lined the other way. Good piece of it from Micheletti, but finds a glove.
And that's a better spot in a count that you're evened up at 2-2. We saw it previously was a full count pitch that was the home run, but that fastball was right over the middle. This one, you put it in a better spot where he can't beat you even if he does get a good piece of it. It's probably staying in the ballpark on a line drive, base hit into left.
Speaking of a base hit, Matt Hallback right back up the middle. He continues to hit Falmouth pitching well, finds himself a hit. Keeps this inning alive as well for Orleans. They've already tied it up on the solo shot from Jack Penny to lead off the inning. Now a two-out base runner trying to add on.
Just a first pitch fastball, mixing up the approach. All those breaking balls in the previous at-bat to Eddie Micheletti. This time starts with a heater, and jumping on top of it, Matt Hallback, to get that two-out base runner aboard.
And then goes back off speed to start this at-bat off. Brandon Stallman, he worked a walk, got all the way around to third in the second, but was left standing 90 feet away. Fastball, one hopper to short. Bazana takes it himself, wins the race to the bag, and Smith avoids any further trouble, but Orleans evens things on the long ball from Jack Penny. One apiece, head to the bottom of the third from Falmouth.
Do your kids have big league dreams? Do they want to learn from the stars of tomorrow? Then check out the Falmouth Commodores Summer Baseball Clinics, where kids from the ages of 5 to 14 can hone their skills in pitching, hitting, fielding, and catching with help from the best college players in the nation. The clinics run from June to late July, and the 6 four-day sessions are divided by age group and experience level. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Give your kids a summer of baseball and a lifetime of memories.
Go Doors!
Top of the order for Falmouth. Tie ball game. One apiece. Between the Doors and the Firebirds, Barry Walsh on the first pitch. One hopper to Jack Penny. One pitch, one out for Gonzalez as he's retired 5 straight Doors now.
Yeah, it looked like he was just hunting something hot and got a slowed down version there. Appeared to be the curveball right out of the gate. Starting off, Barry Walsh with a different pitch, and he's out in front of it, rolls it over, and that's the first out.
That ball was smoked off his bat. 107 according to TrackMan. That would be the hardest hit ball of the summer. Bazana pulls one foul. Bazana singled and scored in the first. It's the lone Falmouth run in the early going. Good job to lay off that slider and even it up. He fell behind in that count 1-2 and singled on a full count pitch after working it back. It's 2-1. Bazana so disciplined at the plate. He doesn't strike out much for Falmouth. He's got a really good feel of the zone, but a lot of his strikeouts have been looking on pitches that he didn't agree with.
Absolutely, and no one knows the zone better than him, really. I mean, he's so patient and disciplined, and that's what good hitters do. They swing at the pitches that they're supposed to get, and they don't do a lot of guessing up there.
And he thought that one was ball 4, but instead it runs it full. Not a ton of swing and miss in his bat. Chops one foul to stay alive, trying to win another battle against Gonzalez. And put speed on the bases with one away for a second time for Falmouth. Hoping to get that run right back here in the third.
Stayed with the slider there a little bit on the inside. Back towards him.
Popped up, got in on the hands, and he knew it right away. Popped to third. Retiring him is Stallman. 2 up, 2 down.
Back-to-back change-ups there, and that one in a good spot. It's up and in. Makes it tough. Gets on top of it there and sends it up into the air, and that's your second out.
Here comes Walker Yannick. He poked a single into right field back in the first. Takes a changeup outside. Gets himself ahead. Gonzalez works really quickly on the rubber, but he slowed himself down a little bit this inning compared to where he was an inning ago. Finds the zone to even it up. Yannick with a big drive, left field, and he breaks the tie with a moonshot. 400 feet out to left. Third long ball of the summer for Walker Yannick, and just like that, it's 2-1 Falmouth.
I was getting ready to say that was a nice front door slider away from him in the previous to even the count. He went back with the same pitch, but that got way too much played into the swing path of Walker Yannick. That baseball was launched for his team, leading now, third home run on the year.
Guy with a pair of them now steps up in Tyler McGregor. It's been a while since we've seen him launch one into the sky. Trying to see if he can get one here and keep things going for Falmouth. Gotta feel good for Jacob Smith, though, as he gets himself right back in the lead. McGregor ahead 2-0. He was a strikeout victim on 3 pitches last time with runners on the corners. Doris looking to get Luke Heyman a shot. Four pitches, none of them in the zone, and a complete 180 from the last at bat. McGregor is aboard.
Yeah, not able to find the zone there, and they're doing what you said could happen. Give this guy a chance, and Luke Heyman, who is as hot as they come right now for Falmouth. And with a base runner aboard, too, he's just that much more dangerous.
Starts off Heyman with a strike on the fastball. He went first pitch swinging on a changeup. Found himself an RBI single in the first. Florida Gator at the plate is starting to heat up his bat as well, along with Gavin Turley behind him. These guys are big bats in this Falmouth order, headed towards the playoffs next week. 1-2 to Heyman.
Puts that fastball over the plate just a little bit down in a 1-1 count, too. Kind of surprised to see a take there. Maybe was looking for something else, especially with the way he's been seeing the baseball.
Just staying alive. Finds himself with another 1-2 pitch after getting a piece of that one. McGregor will be going on contact with 2 away. Probably going to have to hit something into a gap to bring him around.
We've seen that happen a couple times. He moves pretty well over there for being a bigger guy. Some gappers that have scored him from first.
Tipped into the glove. Gonzalez picks up a strikeout, but the 2-out long shot by Walker Yannick puts Falmouth back in front. It's 2-1 through 3 here at the Gov. A lot of other action going on around the Cape. Destiny Sanchez has all the info for you.
Thanks, guys. A few scores around the Cape. The Hyannis Harbor Hawks defeated the YD Red Sox 8-0. The Brewster Whitecaps defeated the Chatham Anglers 5-1. The Harwich Mariners and the Wareham Gatemen are tied up 2-2 in the top of the fourth. And the Katuitt Kettleers are ahead of the Bourne Braves 7-4 in the top of the second. You're watching Falmouth Commodores Baseball.
Top of the fourth from the Gov. Back up here in the broadcast booth. Zach Stanek, Matt Venezia, joined once again by Gavin Keelan. Gavin, thanks for coming on back up and getting some good action again today.
Right, yeah. Thanks for letting me come up here again.
It's been a little back and forth early, but Walker didn't miss that pitch.
No, he didn't. I didn't see it. I just watched it. I didn't see the swing. Just saw the ball fly over the fence, and he got every part of that one. That was a perfect.
If you were up here from our vantage point a little bit earlier, I mean, right off contact, you kind of just saw that one soar into the night, and that breaks a tie of 7 hitters with only 2 home runs on the year for Falmouth. So there's been a lot of guys trying to get near the top. So in many different ways, complementary baseball is so important, but you talk about the long ball being so complementary. The team leader now has 3, but you got a ton of hitters. How dangerous does it make this group?
Oh, it makes it completely, difficult for a pitcher against us, because you just see, like, from top to bottom, we just got guys that just hit consistently day in, day out. And, I mean, even more so than just the power game, we have just so much guys that put the ball in play and make stuff happen like that.
Bazana going out into shallow center to get that one against one of your collegiate teammates.
Yeah.
Eddie King out there. He made a real nice play on a ball hitting the gap off of Gavin Turley's bat back in the first inning. Definitely got a lot of speed out there.
Oh, yeah, he's got some good range out there in center, man. I saw it all year. I mean, he's made some really cool highlight reel plays like that, but he makes plays like that all the time.
Jacob Smith continuing to use all of those different pitches. He's got that fastball that he can get up to 91 is the fastest we've seen it today. That pitch came in at 67.
Yeah, no, that's very deceptive when you're a hitter, when guys are, mixing up pitches like that. And then on top of it, it's a 20-mile-an-hour difference. I mean, that's crazy. You got guys falling forward on the breaking ball right now and guys sitting back on the fastball. And, when he gets guys in between, that's when he's locked.
It's almost like he's helping out the hitters a little bit in the fact that he has 7 different pitches, but says he only uses 5 on a given game.
Well, the catcher's only got 5 fingers, Matt.
That's where you mix in the double signs. You get maybe the fingernails with the different colored,
I wonder how
you
do that. I mean,
yeah.
So we asked Jacob the last time he was up here about the different pitches. He said that he usually gets like 4 or 5 with the catcher, and then if he really wants to throw something else, he's got a different signal that he'll give the catcher to try and throw it. But, yeah, it's definitely something you don't see that often, a guy with that much of an arsenal. And he finds the zone there. Really good pitch.
I'd love to see the percentages then on the pitches that he throws. Like if it's pretty consistently all through, or if it's
yeah. I don't know. You'd have to. I'm sure Tommy Merlot has it.
Oh, I got to look at it now that he said that.
MLB liaison Tommy Merlot doing a lot of the scouting work here for the Commodores. Good swing on the 2-2. Trimble lines one out to right. He stays hot against Falmouth. He hasn't had the best summer overall, but that's already his 6th hit against the Doors between now the 4 meetings.
Wow. Exactly that. Just takes a fastball off the plate. It's a good spot. I mean, it's just off the black a little bit and takes it the other way. As you mentioned, Fenwick Trumbull is has been a thorn in the side of this Falmouth group so far this season, but that's okay. You're not allowing him to beat you over the fence, in these at-bats. You've worked this bat relatively well, and sometimes good hitters make good contact and get hits.
Carpellotti in there taking the breaking ball that sweeps away. So as a hitter, when you're seeing those breaking balls, you're trying to get a feel for how the breaking ball moves, right? But if he's throwing a few different variations of the same type of pitch, how difficult is that to kind of decipher which one's which?
It can be pretty difficult as a hitter, but for the most part, it turns into just watching it in the dugout, seeing what pitches, tendencies. Percentages also helps you out with that, so then you have an idea of what it is.
There's a balk as well that's called, so that pitch doesn't count. So I believe it should be 0-1 is the count still. Seen a lot of balks this summer. And Mike Landry talking to Joe LaBella. He didn't like that one.
No, I mean, kind of what you said about calling balks a lot. Normally umpires, when they come out and stuff like this, they have some type of regimen of something they're working on. I think, of course, every umpire is trying to work on the 20-second rule. And guys getting in the box. You've seen Walker the last couple of days getting 10-second calls for not being ready.
It's tough in a spot out here. Pitch gets away on the wild pitch, and just like that, Trimble moves all the way up to third after that single. But talked about Yannick with the clock violation. We've seen some pitchers get it. There's not a clock here.
No, it's based on the third base umpire. So whatever he's timing it with, they're normally supposed to have a stopwatch, but I think sometimes those calls are a little shaky because it's kind of hard to tell because it's on his timing when the pitcher gets the ball. Because when someone up here is kind of doing it, then it's a little easier. Like at Chatham, they got it on the board and they do it like that.
The last home game we had, I remember seeing Joe LaBella out. He was at third base. Now he's behind the plate. But against Hyannis, he was the field ump, when bases were, occupied. And he would be noticeable with his stopwatch out in his hand. Some guys just do it differently in terms of showing you physically here I'm holding the stopwatch.
Oh yeah, every umpire's got their little quirks and stuff like that that are a little different than everybody else.
That just missed on the 1-2. That would have been a big strike three if he had gotten it with the infield in here for the second out, but Joe LaBella says it's a little bit upstairs. The break even. Laid off that one as well, and we're full. Carpellotti flew out center field the last time he was at the plate. That would probably be good enough with Trimble's speed at third. Although Humphreys does have a really good arm out in center.
Oh yeah, every outfielder we got right now has got a cannon.
3-2 sent back to the screen. That's a pitch that we've seen Smith use a lot early in counts. We haven't seen him throw the breaking ball in the zone a ton later in counts.
No, I think he's getting a lot of walks because of that. Because his tendency right now is the 3-2 breaking ball, and he's kind of struggling to find it late in counts. So he's getting in trouble with a lot of guys on base. Got to pitch in the stretch a lot.
See if he goes with a fastball on this 3-2. He does not.
Ooh.
And he misses upstairs. That one stayed a little up. Jacob Smith not too sure about it. But they're on the corners with one away. A ground ball, you can get out of this inning.
Ball.
And Zach, the trend continuing just a little bit. All the walks we've seen from the pitching staff over the last few outings. And for a guy like Jacob Smith, probably has the most control out of any of your starters up to this point in the summer. Had 4 walks entering today's game. He's got 4 already at this point.
It's similar to what we saw yesterday with Evan O'Toole. He didn't have a single walk entering yesterday's game. He walked 3 guys. It's obviously 3 walks isn't a ton for a starter, but it's more than you'd like and more that you'd seen from him throughout. Just trying to get that control back as kind of hone in towards playoff stretch starting next week.
Right, and especially if a couple of those walks happen in the same inning, then you just get, you give momentum to the other team. Then you just give, the other team gets more momentum in, situations like that, and it can just build, then the routine ball hit the short and is now, beats a guy out, now he's at third, then another base hit, now he scores, just when you get things to roll right, that is when things get in trouble as a pitcher. So you try to eliminate the walks and the errors, and it kind of just goes for your defense as well.
And trying to settle in with Colin Tuft. We've got pretty new infield here that's trying to turn a double play. Travis Bazzana playing short for the first time this season the last couple days. Got Sean Darnell, who just got in at second. Walker Yannick's playing third. He's looked comfortable over there. Turned a double play to end the game the last time we were here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he kind of messes around on the infield during BP all the time. So I think when he got the opportunity, he was more so excited than he was scared. So he was ready to make plays.
Starting off with a curveball at 69 for a strike.
Whose infield mitt is Walker using over there at third? Does he have his own infield mitt?
This is actually, he's wearing Spike's infield glove right now. And when I was talking to Spike, he told me he hasn't played infield in 4 years. So.
But he brought an infield glove at least.
He does, yeah.
Soft pop-up. That's going to be a tough play. It's going to drop. Walsh comes up throwing to second. They'll get the fielder's choice, but it scores a run. That's just a really tough spot.
It's a tough spot. It's really far from the second baseman. It's a long way he's got to go. He's playing over a little bit too on Tuft. And plus the sun. I mean, sun's right above that third base dugout. That's just a tough play. But it's good that they getting out in some way, shape, or form in that situation.
Yeah, nice job by Barry Walsh to come up firing. Didn't hesitate at all. Now you got to face Jack Penny, who's been the best hitter so far for Orleans today. But if you can get him out, you get to the bottom half, still tied.
Also, just a great effort by Barry Walsh to come up and fire. That's the second 9-6 fielder's choice we've seen in consecutive days.
Taking off on Heyman. He beats it out. Really good jump.
Oh, yeah.
Something we haven't seen at all from Orleans today and don't see much from them. 9th in the league in stolen bags, but Colin Tuft was ready for it.
Yeah, I think he's been consistently really high leg kick on the mound. So I think with two outs, maybe he's kind of just trying to focus on the the hitter in the box, take advantage of that as a base runner.
There's that big bender. Two runs equals the most that Smith has given up in a start this season.
Wow, I didn't know that.
He's been really good. That ERA is sitting at 2 right now.
Oh yeah, he's solid, man. It's fun to play behind him. I feel like I've talked about it before too. When he's pitching on the mound, he's a very talkative person. So he's always saying something to himself or to somebody. He's always in the game like that, and it's fun to play behind a guy that's got a quick tempo, and he's always he's out loud talking about it, but he knows what he's doing up there, and he's comfortable.
Also, he's trying to find himself through 5 innings of work as well. You'd like to see him kind of keep this thing where it is to be in line for a decision.
Well, and Ben King headed down towards the bullpen right now. Doors offense would need to get themselves back in front as well in order for Smith to be in line for that decision.
And Zach, the reason he has a decision is because, remember, the second half of the Katuitt weather postponement moved to July 6th. He came in that effort and was ultimately ruled in the victory for Falmouth, despite only going 3 2/3 innings.
That was a very weird game. Yeah, when you played in that game, was it different having to start in the 3rd inning there?
It was kind of awkward at first because we started with it was 1 out and like a 1-0 count, 1-1 count, runner on second. It felt like those games in summer ball when they do the California rules, they put a runner on second and there's like an out and stuff like that. That's what it felt like.
Well, turned out to be a pretty good win for the Doors.
Pitch.
And they're a bounce-back strikeout for Jacob Smith. Gets himself out of the jam. We're even at 2 apiece, headed to the bottom of the 4th on the Commodores Baseball Network.
You could have a future big leaguer in the family. Become a part of the Falmouth Commodores community by hosting a player for the summer. Host families provide a home away from home for some of the best college baseball talent in the nation, and the bonds formed between the players and families can last a lifetime. All host families will receive a weekly allowance from the Commodores organization to help cover expenses.
for the second straight bottom half. The Doors no longer have the lead. They're tied up, trying to get it back right here in the bottom of the fourth. Leading it off is Gavin Turley. Starts him off with a strike. Misses in. It's 2-0. Called strike. Turley didn't like it. And it's 1-2.
Yeah, it's just trying to find a way to respond. You talked about the game being tied up again, but it's a tough situation for Falmouth in where you have your right fielder have to make that play to get the out. The 9-6 fielder's choice we just talked about is the way that, yes, you got a productive out and bounce back, but a run still does come to score. It's just unfortunate, but hey, it's okay. You know, you got to kind of lock back in here a little bit, and the offensive prowess this team's put on here, you like the aggressiveness in the Doors' bats.
You do, and you've seen a lot of those really good swings, a lot of even hard hit outs like Gavin Turley's was. Line out to center his last time up. He's continuing to battle here. Trying to keep his hit streak alive and his extra base hit streak alive as well. Works himself even, 2-2. That moonshot he hit yesterday, got a first pitch fastball. I asked him if he was looking first pitch fastball, and he told me, no, I was actually thinking take. And then it looked really good.
That's pretty incredible to, you know, these guys are throwing so hard. And, you know, he's still just coming off his freshman year. And to say that when, you know, you have to react in, you know, milliseconds to decide if you want to take a pitch or swing at it.
Take strike 3 called there. Fastball down and in, and Turley doesn't like it. He looks back and says that it was down. Trackman, however, kind of disagree.
Yeah, that's in the middle of the bottom left. So in this case, the inside bottom corner to Gavin Turley. But for him to go back to the previous note, for him to be able to look for take and then still decide in the moment that, yeah, I have enough time to swing and pull this baseball to left. Not even the other way. It was a home run on the pull side.
Yeah, it was a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, and he destroyed it. A couple of looping swings from Humphreys, and it's 0-2. Already 6 strikeouts for Jonathan Gonzalez, who has really settled himself down after a rough first inning. Well, just missed that corner there.
He's doing work so far against his brother's summer team, as we talked about earlier. Looking real good on the mound here.
1-2. Humphreys did not go around, really close there, but just held up.
Well, that's a good take by Nate. Shows a little bit more discipline in the box after those big breaking balls that he came up empty on to begin this at bat.
Once again, it's a full count. Bounces in, and Humphreys from an 0-2 count works himself a walk. Second walk issued by Gonzalez. And the go-ahead run for Falmouth back on the base paths.
Saw a handful of those yesterday in Brewster from Evan O'Toole being ahead and then losing guys and ultimately walking hitters when he was ahead 0-2. It's nice to be on the flip side of that, but the way that happens is you're disciplined. You know, you get those swing and misses on the breaking ball early. The pitcher's going to make note of that to keep firing with them, and Nate makes that adjustment mid-at-bat to lay off those same pitches, Zach, and now he's standing at first base.
Caleb Hall was called out on strikes on a very similar pitch, both to that one and to the one that Gavin Turley took for strike 3. That fastball down and in, coming across from the left-handed pitcher to that right-handed hitter. He's had a ton of success with that. Humphreys stole a good amount of bags at Dallas Baptist this year. And he's trying to get himself back into that column here. He's got himself a good lead over at first base. Another check on him. He increased his lead before that check. It's one of those situations where you get back and you've got, all right, I can get a little more now. See if he does it again here.
Well, he's got a really happy and friendly lead over there right now. You know, what I always note is you see the cut of the grass in by first base, the way that it's cut to give base runners room over there. I mean, Nate is halfway inside that cut of the grass. He is a real far distance off the baseball bag, and that's why he keeps getting checked on.
But he's been able to dive back in without a tag every time because he's getting a really good read on Gonzalez on when he's coming back. It's 1-2 to Caleb Hall. Spoils that changeup away. Keeps himself alive.
Yeah, Hump has stolen 3 bags this summer, 19 of them this year at Dallas Baptist, and it could just be a sense of this part through the order, just trying to put something in motion to maybe get a chance there for your next guys up at the top.
Bluffs the steal. It's probably a good thing he did. It was a fastball up. Would have been basically a de facto pitch out there, but instead, Humphrey's still staying over at first base. Goes this time. It's again a pitch up. Throw down. Got him. Back-to-back fastballs up. Humphreys chose the wrong pitch to go on, and Carpellotti guns him out at second.
I thought he almost got his hand in there, Zach. That looked pretty close because, yes, it's an upstairs fastball. It's a bad pitch to go on, obviously, but the throw from Carpellotti was a little high, so you'd think he gets his hand under that, but not today.
Caleb Hall skies it into center. King calls off. Farrow makes the play. And an unconventional 1-2-3 inning worked by Gonzalez on the rubber in the fourth. It's 2 apiece through 4 innings. Here at the Gov, this is your home for Falmouth Commodores baseball. Jacob Smith back out for the 5th inning of work. Tied at 2 apiece between the Doors and the Firebirds as we get a look at some Commodores trivia. It's the centennial season. The Doors have been around for a long time, so keep that in mind when you're thinking about this one. When was the first CCBL championship for the Commodores?
I'll give you a hint. You mentioned the centennial. The Doors were around 100 years ago, so that's where you got to start.
I thought your hint was going to be the normal hint, that it was before our lifetimes, and I was going to say, yeah, it probably was before the lifetime of most people watching, I would assume.
That hint works too.
Yeah.
That's the, you don't need to say it, but that's the most obvious hint. But no, I mean, this team's been around for a long time, and one of the original 4.
Falmouth was the top team in the league in the regular season back in 1923. Did not take home the title that year, though. Lost in the playoffs to Hyannis, but eventually broke their way through, as I'm sure you can tell, because otherwise we wouldn't be asking you it. First pitch swinging from Farrow, pops it up to Bazana. 1 pitch, 1 out for Smith. That'll play.
Well, we wanted this to be a good, quick inning from Jacob Smith after having a tightrope through some situations here, which otherwise, outside of the walks, only 4 hits given up. You're working into your 5th inning of work. You got a handful of strikeouts. This is pretty Jacob Smith-esque, if you had to say, what he's gotten you through to this point in a manageable game. 2-2 in the 5th. That's you want your starter to give you a shot. And the Doors offense has shown up here in this early stage of the ball game, and now it's a matter of if they'll keep going.
Smith trying to get through it. We've been tied in the bottom of the 5th in each of our last 2 games here between Falmouth and their opponents. Harbor Hawks was 5-5 here at the Gov on Monday, and then last night was 3-3 going to the 6th. And Stony Brook fielding Brewster before Gavin Turley untied it with a long ball.
Well, partner, if we're going to bring out the numbers on some matchups over the last couple, I think it's important to maybe talk about the hint we were saying about these two teams and when they match up.
The
we haven't said
road.
it yet.
The road team has won each of the last 8 meetings between these sides. McGregor with a backhand, going to be a tough one. Smith just beats out Micheletti for out number 2. You'd have to go all the way back to July 12th, 2021 for the last time that one of these teams won a game at home.
Yeah, it's been a while. It was a 1-0 win for the Doors that season, and was a part of a stretch of, it could have been weather-related, but it was a back-to-back against this team in Orleans. We've seen that a couple of times on the schedules when we've been looking back for some of these trivia and even just for our own research for the broadcast. Sometimes you see the teams at back-to-back cross-division. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but scheduled or not, that's what the finished product showed and what was a win for the Doors.
Hallback is hit on the foot on the first pitch. Jacob Smith shaking his head. A 2-out base runner keeps the inning alive for Orleans.
Well, not the way that you wanted to start the final possible batter here for this situation. You get the first 2 up and down. But the staff, Jeff Trundy, wanting an explanation on it from Joe LaBella.
I think they're going to call those guys together. I don't think there's any way they overturn this. Nobody really has a great angle at it. LaBella's going to have the best of the crew. And if they overturn this, you're going to see Kelly Nicholson come quickly out of that dugout.
Right.
On the other side. So Hallback's going to stay at first.
The only person who knows is Matt Hallback. And after a discussion, and I think maybe that's what Jeff Trundy maybe was just asking for. Like, why is there not a discussion maybe earlier there? Why does he have to be the one to say, hang on, can we talk about it in a play like that that's at the plate no one really knows right out of the gate?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just going to be a judgment call from the home plate umpire, though, because those other guys aren't going to be able to see it. 1-0 now. The count to Brandon Stallman. A walk and a fielder's choice for him tonight. Big breaking ball away. It's 2-0. Hallback stole 15 bags this season at UC San Diego. The Tritons out of the Big West. Fastball outside, and it's 3-0.
That one looked pretty good here. We talk about Smith and using that fastball outer third. Just off, according to the TrackMan setup here, but he's been usually getting that call, Zach, but not this time.
The 3-0. Bounces in, a 4-pitch walk. That's the 5th walk of the outing from Jacob Smith, and Orleans with a shot here.
Yeah, this is the trouble because 2 outs retired quickly. Now you get 2 to reach on the hit by pitch, and Mike Landry's going to make that move. We were talking about trying to see Jacob Smith maybe work into being able to be in line for the decision should the Doors get ahead in the bottom half of this inning. No move to it yet. It could just be a conversation of how do you feel right now, and Jacob Smith maybe wanting to say, hey, let me try to get this last guy.
Ben King is still throwing in the bullpen for Falmouth. Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket will almost assuredly be the next Commodore to pitch. It's just a question of, does he enter here in the 5th or does he wait till the 6th?
And look, you have a righty up at the plate, righty ready to go on the mound. Jacob Smith will remain on the hill. I think that's the right move. I mean, yes, the walks have kind of hurt a little bit, but he's kept you in this ball game and always has the strikeout stuff. Maybe not today, as we're used to typically seeing from him. I mean, to this point, just the 3 strikeouts. The lowest total for him this season so far has been 4. That's what he works best with. That's what he did at school at West Alabama with all those different pitches he can go to. But you got the pop out last time to Eddie King Jr. Maybe learn from that at bat and maybe attack him a similar way. to find the biggest out of this ball game to try to keep it where it's at.
That was the first pitch in to King that popped it up. This time, first pitch swinging out to center. It drops in for a base hit. Humphreys comes up throwing, and Hallback gets the stop sign. Rightfully so, because Humphreys just unloaded a cannon to the plate. Now they're loaded, and here comes Fenwick Trimble.
And I think this is where you probably will see that move. It's tough because it's a fastball low and away. It's a good spot, but Eddie King Jr. does a great job getting down to that pitch, Zach. And obviously, it wasn't hit all that hard. Only 79 off the bat, but Nate Humphreys, right off contact, was booking it to get that baseball. Comes up with the big arm, as we've talked about. You like that the game remains where it's at, but unfortunately, Jacob Smith could maybe be in line should this get out of, commotion here, but Ben King's got a big chance here to try to strand these base runners when we get back to it.
Here comes King. We'll give you all his numbers on the other side of the break. Bases loaded. Big spot for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket on the other side of the break.
The Falmouth Commodores merch shop is the one place to go for all your Commodores merchandise. Check out our full collection of hats, including the official game hats, the Commodores, along with shirts of all kinds. And for those colder nights, don't worry, we've got you covered with hoodies and jackets. We've even got bats, balls, pins, and more for all your collecting needs. Speaking of collecting, this year the Commodores are celebrating their 100th year with plenty of Centennial merchandise. The Commodores merch shop is the one place to get your 100th year gear. All the Centennial merchandise is while supplies last, so make sure to get it before it's gone. And hey, you never know who you'll find when you stop in. And there's always something to tip your hat to. Come say hi to us under the press.
Ben King enters with the bases loaded and 2 away. Needs 1 out to get the doors out of this jam and close the book on Jacob Smith's outing. He's responsible for all 3 of those on the base paths. It was a hit by pitch, a walk, and then a single that loaded him up. Finds the zone on the first pitch. Catches the outside corner to start off Trimble.
Nice location there, that slider. Gets a picture-friendly call there. Shows it's just off the plate here, but Heyman doing a nice job. Talk about all those numbers of the frame rate and getting strikes back and saving runs. That's a good one there.
Swing and a miss. It's 0-2.
Same pitch, just puts it down. It's still off the plate. I'd see no reason to go to anything else but that pitch here. If anything, more convincingly down in the zone. But that just comes down to how much do you trust Luke Heyman back there, and right away he's setting up outside.
0-2, pop foul out of play. Did go right back towards that same spot. That one did catch a lot of plate at the knees, though, and Trimble stays alive.
That it did. It got a lot of plates. The way this one starts, it's got a lot of the horizontal movement, but still drops vertically as well. So right out of the hand, this one's working back over the middle of the plate before finishing where it's fouled off, down and away. That's not the pitch you want to throw 0-2, especially against Fenwick Trimble.
Another 0-2. Speeds him up at 88 inside. That thing jumps after seeing the first few at 79. Brushes him back. We'll see if he tries to tunnel that slider off of it here.
I would bet that would be the one to go with here.
The 1-2. Does go to the slider. Picks up the strikeout. Ben King comes out of the bullpen and strands the bases loaded in the top of the 5th. We're halfway through from Gov Fuller Field, all knotted up at 2 between the Doors and the Firebirds.
Want to display some Falmouth pride? Show your support for the Commodores by picking up a rally rag at the intern tent. Rally rags are $2 each or 3 for $5, and you can wave them all summer long while you cheer on the team. Wear your rags to home games or raise them high to help us close the door on our opponents. Just make sure to get yours today. Supplies are selling fast.
New pitcher to the mound for the Firebirds. Start off this inning, it's Connor Eaton, but before we get to his numbers, we're going to take a look at the standings coming down the stretch here and talk about some of these clinching scenarios as these games are playing out right now. See Falmouth there in third. The team to keep an eye on right now is Wareham, and the Gatemen are trailing in the 7th inning at Spillane. If that game holds at that score, it's 3-2 Harwich right now. If Harwich wins, Falmouth needs just a win or a tie to clinch a playoff spot tonight.
That's right, and the other thing, too, that would also do the job is you keep an eye on the Bourne Braves, and the Bourne Braves can single-handedly take Wareham out, which would clinch Falmouth the spot should Bourne win today, although Wareham would have to lose straight up. A tie would not do it for them. Falmouth can get Wareham out if they win today and Wareham ties. So for Bourne to do it, should the Doors lose this game, it would have to be a win and a Wareham loss.
Well,
a lot of things to consider.
And both would have to happen for Wareham to be completely eliminated. Falmouth would have to win, Bourne would have to win, and Wareham would have to lose.
Correct.
Because otherwise, they could still catch one, but it's a really tough spot for the game in either way.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely not where you want to be, especially you see, if you just look at the teams in the West and over to the East, I mean, the Doors have the 3rd best record in the Cape League, but are 3rd in their division. I mean, that's incredible that's just the way it's shaped out. Right now, the beasts in this league are here in the Falmouth division, so obviously working your way through the playoffs that look to be pretty much inevitable right now for Falmouth, the way things are kind of shaping out. It's going to be a tough little route for the Doors here, and to show that whoever comes out of the West is going to be a very tough fit for the teams over there in the East.
4 of the top 5 teams in the Cape League reside in the West Division this season. Falmouth, one of those top 4 in the West, trying to keep it that way and improve on their record. Tonight, we're even halfway through as Connor Eaton takes the mound, replacing Jonathan Gonzalez, who overall worked himself really good outing after starting a little slow.
And Connor Eaton, another one of those lefties used by Kelly Nicholson here, 1-1 this season, a 5.17 ERA.
Darnell chops back the first pitch. Out of George Mason. Rising junior. Had himself not the greatest record overall, but had some good numbers if you dive deeper into it at George Mason. 47 Ks to just 22 walks. A lot of starts for the Patriots. Chopper, third base side, going to be a tough play, and Sean Darnell's going to have himself an infield single.
That's a nice hustle out of the box to get down there and not make that one close. It's a good pitch off the plate. 82 sliding away from Sean Darnell. Connor Eaton kind of blew a tire, but still was able to keep himself up, and Darnell's there easily, but the decision to throw one down there, regardless of that, is a little interesting because if that gets away, Sean Darnell standing on second with nobody out.
Lineup flips over for Barry Walsh. Fouls back the first pitch. Finds himself 0-1. He hit the ball really hard last time, right at the shortstop, Jack Penny. He's 0 for 2, trying to keep his hit streak alive in this early going of his summer season. This is his 4th appearance with Falmouth. Pops foul. And it's quickly 0-2.
Just a little behind on that pitch. Appears like that was maybe the changeup from Connor Eaton. Left it over the middle, though.
0-2 fastball just inside at 92. That's the same area of the zone that Gonzalez had so much success with, but this one a little bit higher up and maybe a little further inside. Trying to go right back towards that spot, this time with an off-speed pitch. Walsh has worked himself back even in the count. Boston College Eagle getting himself comfortable on the Cape. Two-two swinging, line drive out to right, but hangs up enough for Fenwick Trimble to go get it.
Puts a fastball off the plate. Trackman says it's off the plate, but 2-2, you got to defend on those close pitches around the perimeter of the zone. And it's just a line drive the other way, jumping off the bat at 89 miles per hour. You're hoping that one gets down to extend that hitting streak and, more importantly, extend the base running situation for the Doors here in the inning. But that's the first out.
Yeah, that was a really good swing, though, even though it was off the plate. Hit it hard, as you mentioned. Now Bazana's up. Singled and scored in the first. Popped out in the third. Trying to put some base runners aboard for Walker Yannick, who's already got a pair of hits, including the home run on his ledger tonight. 2-0 to Bazana. Oregon State Beaver didn't just play baseball growing up, also played cricket quite a bit down there in Sydney, Australia. All the way until he was 16, he told us. He said he really liked cricket, but just liked baseball a little better.
Well, he also said a really cool, interesting piece that it helped him stay real level when pitches are down in the zone in baseball, because in cricket, the ball's bouncing off the ground, and you're kind of having to get your body down, and the eye contact and hand-eye coordination, changing the level of where you're hitting a stick with the baseball, or a ball in that case. And all those bat and ball sports, whether it's hockey or golf, whatever it may be, they all have similar ways to generate power, but when you're having to change the eye level between cricket and baseball to make contact, it's so impressive that he's able to do so.
5-pitch walk as Bazana takes just below the knees. Work his way on. And 2 aboard for Walker Yannick.
Well, this is the situation you want. That one, a real good leave by Travis Bazana right on the black at 91. But we talk about guys that, there's not too many guys that know the strike zone better than Travis Bazana. Such a disciplined take to allow your slugging back and Walker Yannick, who's been pretty remote in this 3-hole spot for a little while since the lineup's been moving around. You provide him a chance with 2 base runners on to step in.
Starts off with a fastball. Called strike to him. He destroyed the last pitch he saw. That one coming off the arm of Jonathan Gonzalez. Hit this one a mile high. It's on the infield. Long run for everybody. It drops. But an infield fly is called, and they're going to double up Bazana here. Bazana is very not happy. No one's camping under the baseball, and that's what Bazana's saying. The rule on an infield fly is that it has to be camped under. I don't know about that one, Matt.
That's very bizarre, and it gets the Firebirds out of the inning. Brian Thomasina not happy at all, providing an earful, as he should, to Drew Hoagland. And I don't know about that. There was no one under that baseball. You cannot call that. Well, that's weird. That's weird. And look, it's a big spot in the inning.
Well, the Doors are going to let him hear it, but we're going to step aside. We head to the 6th, tied at 2. Matt Venezia has the play-by-play on the other side of the break on the Commodores Baseball Network.
So
let's take you through a day of BP with Garrett Coe. You can kind of see all of our pitchers over here doing absolutely nothing. They do a really good job at that. But it's the only way you can pass through BP at this time. I got it. I got it. Let me look like I'm doing something today. Parker Coyle thinks he's going to steal this ball from me. It's over here. So yeah, it's a whole bunch of messing around out here. Yeah. I like to think of myself as a multifaceted athlete who can play in the outfield, the infield, on the mound. I have a catcher's mitt. I'll get behind the plate. It's all about being versatile. All right, now we're working with fire. We got a first base mitt. We're going to show just the other perks of being Garrett Coe. Coach Brian's trying to mess me up right now. He's trying to see if I can look bad on camera.
Welcome back here. Welcome back here in the top of the 6th inning. That was chaotic, and in such a big part of this ball game, that will certainly be circled as we make our way closer to the end. This ball here popped up at third. Walker Yannick had the baseball spinning on him. He's able to make that put out. Walker Yannick tightroping along the third base line there, and by the time I think he gets that put out, Zach, his glove's back over the line in fair territory. Good hustle for that first out.
So, doing some research on infield flies during the break. The rule states that it can be caught with, quote, an ordinary effort, which that's up to the discretion of the umpiring crew, and they felt that an ordinary effort makes that catch. And at the end of the day, it's a tough way to go about it.
There were 3 confused Firebirds running in on the mound there. Not able to make that play. I'm not too sure. We won't continue to harp on it, but certainly will be something that we will be talking about after this baseball game. The 0-2. 3 pitches and a slider outer third. Ben King, strikeout number 2.
He looks good right now. This is the best we've seen him so far, without a question.
Was anticipating seeing this arm out of Georgia Tech. Good numbers this year, a 3.75 ERA and 50 2/3 innings worked. Pretty remotely out of the bullpen, though, for the Yellow Jackets, and had 55 punch-outs last season here. Starts off this at-bat behind in the count to Jack Penny. The big solo shot back in the 3rd inning for the shortstop for Kelly Nicholson and these Firebirds. And there's that slider. Very common swing and miss pitch.
He's been using it really well.
Trying to work rather quickly here after that inning, but Penny sends one the opposite way, and it gets down into left. He's got good speed. Rounds the bag rather longly there, and then goes back. Despite the effort from Turley there to try to bring it in, it'll just go as a long 2-out single.
Well, and Penny's wishing he had kept going because Turley bobbled it, but they know the scouting report on Turley. That guy can throw it. He was clocked up at 96 from the outfield in high school. He's got a cannon. You don't want to test him, and he laid off, even though would have been safe due to the bobble.
The all-star shortstop, Jack Penny, picks up his 2nd hit today. Big wave and a miss here from Drew Farreau, trying to get himself on. 0 for 3 today. All those at-bats worked against Jacob Smith. Some sharp contact, though, for him. A couple of lineouts to Gavin Turley. Had him backing up on both of them there. And then his most recent at-bat popped up to Travis Pizzana. To this point now, both starters working no decisions today. You had Jacob Smith, 4 2/3. Left the bases loaded. Ben King got a strikeout. Big needed 3rd out for the Doors to keep this ball game where it's at. But he went 4 2/3, 5 hits, only 2 runs, 5 walks, which is very notable, something you don't see from Jacob Smith, and just 3 strikeouts. Fastball runs off the plate. A little bit of situation here looming with 2 outs. It's the 3-1 count.
He's got to settle back in to Farreau. You don't really want to see Micheletti or Hallback come up in this inning with runners on base.
Farreau works a 5-pitch walk. And now you've got the go-ahead run in scoring position.
You walked a good amount yesterday. You've already walked 6 now today between Smith and King.
That's a number that really was not all that high for Falmouth overall in the season up until the last couple of days here. Kind of started in that tough loss to the Wareham Gatemen the other day, a 5-2 effort for Wareham. One of the last times, that was the last time we saw Ben King pitch in a ball game, was in that effort that the Doors, as you mentioned, struggled with the walks, a total of 11 of them in that game. Trying to avoid that most recent walk here, working against Eddie Micheletti. Runs a pitch down low there to even us up here at 1. Micheletti this season against the Doors been held in check, just 1 for 10. But has been hot of late, 6 hits over his last 4 outings for the Firebirds. Got one over the middle here. That slider shot out into center. It's off the wall. 2 runs are going to score. The cutoff gets slowed down here, and there won't be a throw in. All of it with 2 outs. Eddie Micheletti drives in 2 on that 2-bagger.
Just a breaking ball that he left right over the heart of the plate. This turn of events has really taken the air out of this building here and out of this stadium. It's just not been much you can say about it.
But in the defense of the Doors, how could it not? I mean, just the effort in that previous half inning. You got the bases loaded, 1 out. And the way that inning came to an end, very unconventional. Slider off the plate here, but I think a check swing ruled in the favor of Ben King on the mound there.
Ben King's been really, really good righty-righty, but he's struggled against the left-hand hitters. All but 1 have reached against him so far.
Got to find a way to strand Micheletti, and it's a good start towards that. Couple of misses on some cuts. That breaking ball off the plate, real working now for Ben King when he puts it there. But the Firebirds now on top here in this 6th inning. That one got more plate. But again, it's chopped and foul. We keep going, 0-2. These Firebirds have been fussy. They've been battling since the last time these two saw. 8-6 the record of these Firebirds since the last matchup back at Eldridge Park.
And the one thing that Orleans does really, really well is their bullpen and their pitching staff. Falmouth's going to be in for a tough one trying to get themselves back even in this game, especially if they allow another run here.
The 1-2. Slider down between the 2 feet of the backstop, Luke Heyman. But it was 0-2 right out of the gate. Worked off a foul ball, and now you've seen 2 consecutive miss. Looking to keep the damage where it is. The 2-2 runs a fastball under the hands. That's a good pitch to end the inning, but not before Eddie Micheletti finds a 2-out single to straightaway center, giving the Firebirds the lead you see here with the Doors bats coming up when we return.
Are you looking for that perfect pregame meal? Supreme Pizza has you covered. Its extensive menu has everything from pies and calzones to salads and subs. And with its online ordering system, delicious food is just 1 click away. Supreme Pizza is open every day of the week. Order online or stop by their store located at 147 T-Ticket Highway and try a slice today.
From all of us at Supreme Pizza, we would like to wish the Falmouth
We're back here for more baseball. The answer to that trivia question, it's been a long time since the Doors in general have won, but that was the very first one way back in 1929.
Falmouth started that stretch in 29 and really ran with it. The Doors would go on to win 5 more titles in the 1930s as they really dominated the early portion of the Cape League. And then 4 straight titles in the 70s, Most recent title, though, all the way back in 1980.
They were good early on when the Cape League began. The Doors have been really good here of late over the last little bit. The Doors have scored 8+ runs over the past 3 games. Hasn't been the case here tonight, though. Been held in check against a pitching staff that we mentioned is very, very good. This group, the 4th lowest earned run average against in terms of the pitching for Kelly Nicholson and his Firebirds. Also the 2nd lowest runs allowed to this point in the season, now working very late into it. Game number 38 for Falmouth here tonight. Couple of pitches here since we began here with Connor Eaton against Tyler McGregor. We have a 1-1 count.
Need a response quickly from Falmouth. Try and, at the very least, cut into this.
And for what it's worth, as it's now a 2-1 count, we saw 3 innings from Garrett Coe yesterday. He's typically that late bullpen arm for Falmouth. Won't see him tonight, but Joey Ryan did not throw. It was Cody Del Vecchio in the 9th, so would expect that the Boston College righty, also Falmouth's closer over the last several weeks, would be available tonight.
Track record for the Doors, not spectacular against opposing bullpens in terms of comeback efforts.
McGregor rolls one to his opposite first baseman, and Matt Hallback does it himself for out number 1.
The Doors this season 0-10 when trailing after 6 innings.
Not the number you want, but a good bat to have, though, if that situation will have to continue to develop, because Luke Heyman is swinging as hot of a bat as it gets for Falmouth, in charge of one of the 2 runs driven in for the Doors here tonight. Sends this one over our heads here in the press box. But Heyman out of Florida, seeing a lot of time behind the plate because of Yannick moving over to 3rd for the time being. Walker Yannick's been seeing action at 3rd base for 4 consecutive games now. 2 of them starts, and then a couple defensive replacements mixed in there as well. Especially right when he has been getting noticed by the Cape League for his efforts there behind the plate, throwing runners out, the saving runs by frame rate percentage too up there at the top of the Cape League. Heyman's a great option to have in there as well, but Walker Yannick was making a living behind the plate here this summer for Falmouth. Fastball up and in. Heyman thought it was ball 4. Has himself a good stretch here for Luke Heyman. 5 runs driven in over the last game and change. He won't drive one in here, though. He gets on base with that walk. Sets up a good chance for Gavin Turley. Good option to have when you have the tying run at the plate. Number 1, the left fielder here steps in.
Need to work a good AB. Find your way through.
Gavin Turley working on a 6-game hit streak, trying to extend it. Big day for him yesterday, the back-to-back starts of extra base hits for Gavin. Yesterday was in the variety of a double and a home run, drove in 2. Big win for Falmouth against Brewster, finishing off the sweep of the Whitecaps. Part of the reason why the Doors are just so good against this East Division. Falmouth 12-5-1 when games take place outside of the West Division. On the other hand, the Firebirds just 9-10 against this group here when taking on opponents cross-division. Trying to even the season set are the Firebirds. Meanwhile, the Doors trying to win the season series 3-1.
And finally break the curse of the home teams.
That's right. Turley up and in. Half-hearted effort there on the fastball at 90 to even us up here. Luke Heyman, not the biggest threat in the world to go. He's there at first. Turley lost his baseball bat, but the closest that bat's been to him when it leaves his hands.
Yeah, that
right
one
there.
just not a great swing through. Didn't get great contact on it, but didn't send it flying either.
That finds a second strike for Connor Eaton here, the lefty, in for his second inning of work. Tried to work him backwards, nearly got him. Would have been a tough way to take one and work your way on. Gavin Turley choosing to avoid getting run in on there. Really good freshman year at Oregon State, continuing that here over the last little bit. Tap dances out of that one, and it's a full count.
Got to be aggressive, got to protect in 3-2, but you definitely wouldn't complain about a pitch that misses the zone. You'll take the tying run on base if you can get it.
Nate Humphreys stands on deck. Turley empty on it. Swings and misses for out number 2. A pair of strikeouts for Gavin Turley. That one swinging. And now it's up to Nate Humphreys.
Falmouth worked really good at bats early in this game, but as the game's gone on, the at-bats have kind of not necessarily gotten worse, but haven't been as strong as they were to start.
And partner, now more than ever, you've kind of noticed. You've noticed that what you said, the energy and kind of the life here at the Gov kind of been sucked out. It's very, very quiet here for the folks gathered. Humphreys sending one back.
And he can change that with one swing. He's got a lot of pop in his bat, but really going to need a jolt of life into this ballpark.
One of now 6 doors on the lineup to have 2 home runs this season. Both of Nate's on the road. The most recent one at Chatham.
He does have a triple here and a couple of doubles as well. Both of those would play in this spot.
We've seen some triples rather recently for this Falmouth group, so much so that the Doors' 5 triples are now 3rd in the Cape League in that statistic.
It's funny, they have those 5 triples. 2 of them were in one game against Chatham. Then 1 was the cycle for Bazana. And then 2 of them in the same game again with Bazana and Turley against Bourne.
Cade Snell had one of those during that stretch of time.
He did. He was the other one with Humphreys against Chatham.
Good run of time having Cade Snell here, but as the Cape League and these Scout Leagues show you, guys up here getting their cuts and roster transactions continuing basically from the first day you get here all the way through now to game 38, and would expect some more as we continue moving on here.
I mean, this lineup will tell you that. The next 2 guys after Humphreys in the lineup both got here in the last couple of days in Caleb Hall and Sean Darnell.
Humphreys staying alive, going up the ladder there. That's 90 in the upper part of the zone. Caleb Hall awaits on deck. Tonight's designated hitter for Falmouth. There's Luke Heyman. Staying tight there to the first base bag here with 2-2 and 2 away. Good take up there on that one. Staying up and in. Cash Thomas throwing in the bullpen for Falmouth. You like what we've seen from Ben King. We'll see when Cash would be used in this ball game. Going was Heyman, and that's a really close take, but nonetheless, Nate Humphreys. And the Doors working some 2-out magic of their own here. Nate's got 2 walks and consecutive trips to the plate, allowing Caleb Hall here with a runner in scoring position.
Almost an identical spot to what Micheletti came up in his last at-bat in the top of the 6th. Hall trying to match it here. Want to at least get 1 run across in this spot.
Hitless over his last 6 plate appearances. That adds up to the last 2 outings for Caleb Hall. First pitch swinging, he sends it foul. His debut against the Harbor Hawks saw him with 4 hits. All of them of the single variety.
Yeah, he was electric that day. A lot of hits going the other way. Not too many of them hit hard either. Just the one real barrel, and then just finding outfield grass the other 3 times. It'll play.
It's a good leave upstairs by about an inch or so. That's a real good take there from Caleb Hall. Connor Eaton, no damage in the inning yet, but it has been a long one for him. Tries to run a fastball here inside, and it's another good leave. Only 15 games of action this year at North Carolina Greenville for Caleb Hall. The 2-1 on the ground. It gets through for a base hit. Luke Heyman being waved around. The throw will go into third, and Humphreys is in there as well, allowing Caleb Hall to move to second. The Doors get one back.
Massive 2-out rally for Falmouth and a chance to come through here for Darnell and potentially put Falmouth not only back tied but back in front.
Fantastic base running by Falmouth. And now, as you mentioned, a base hit here from Darnell. Had one last time. You find yourself back equal. Nate Humphreys, ton of speed. Easy for him to go first to third there on a pitch that was 93 off the bat. I mean, it didn't take that long to get to Eddie King Jr. That's just really, really good base running by the Commodores. And now it's Sean Darnell. Been at second base for Falmouth since coming in here. Finds himself behind, no balls and 2 strikes. 2-out magic working here for Falmouth. By the bottom 4 guys here. Setting up a chance. With the lineup card flipping back to the top. Barry Walsh awaiting on deck though.
Good take. Don't want to get over anxious in a big spot with 2 away and chase something way out of the zone.
Sean Darnell drove in 37 this year at Wallace. Sported a 370 average as well to boot with that one. He won't drive any here though, as he just grounds one out to his opposite second baseman to retire the side, but not before the Doors get one back. Caleb Hall, 2-out hitting. Gets Falmouth at third run as we're on to the 7th from the Gov.
We're going to have to cut out like 85% of this, so my bad. Tab Tracy!
Guy, you deserve it. I just think I deserve it like next week.
For sure. Hey, Tab Tracy on the mic next week.
Not tomorrow. Why?
Bro, you put every ounce of your body into that one. You hit it. You hit it. I literally went like this. Gots. Is that Turley?
Yeah.
He has juice.
Yeah, he's got stupid juice.
So who's balling?
Man, Travis Bazzana.
Travis. Anybody else?
Baller. Joey Baller. Man, all of our all-stars, man.
Facts. I want to shout out my mom, my dad, Christy Taylor, Jeremy Taylor, Bethany Rose Taylor, my granny, and that whole side of the family. I done made it on TV. Look at me.
Welcome back here to Gov Fuller Field. Matt Venezia alongside Zach Serdenik. The Doors get one back, but still kind of feeling the effects of what happened there with that infield fly partner. You got to find your way, though, against one of the better bullpens here on the Cape.
You do, and the 1 run back in the bottom of the 6th really helps because it gets you closer and it gives you some momentum back, but you have to keep it. This is a massive 0 that Ben King needs to put on the board.
Ben King's been solid here for Falmouth since coming in relief of Jacob Smith. Unfortunately, he's in line there with that end of the inning. There is time called. It appears a baseball maybe found its way out there into right field. Time was being called over there at first base pretty aggressively from Joe Hoagland, first base umpire. So it's 0-1.
He saw it at the last minute and wanted to make sure that a ball wasn't put in play, and a dangerous spot for Barry Walsh.
Slider over the plate and driven into right for a base hit. Stallman reaches for the third time today, but the first time with a hit. And the Firebirds are back and running here, leading off the inning with a base runner.
Mention the importance of a 0 here. If you want a shot in this game, a 0 is probably pretty necessary, because you don't want yourself in a position where that run that you just got is wasted.
Cash Thomas is the next man up for Falmouth. Been warming up now for about an inning or so. We'll see when he might get the opportunity to come into this ball game. It's a good slider there, outer third. Away from Eddie King Jr. Had himself a single last time. Officially 1 for 2 to this point in the ball game. Now shows bunt, and the slider runs away. I thought it got him at first, but it evidently missed him, which allows the base runner, Stallman, to move on the wild pitch.
But it does keep King off the base paths at the end of the day.
That it does. Was able to pull the bunt back as well, did King Jr., but now sets himself up with a chance. A ball and a strike. Over the middle on a breaking ball, and it's into the gap in left center all the way to the wall. Stallman will score. Eddie King Jr. takes a wide turn at second. And the extra base hit starting to bug the doors here. The Firebirds get that run right back.
Just another hanging breaking ball. The slider was so good early in this outing for Ben King, but there have been a couple of them that have caught too much plate, and Orleans hasn't missed.
Mike Landry stepping on the top step right now, not making his way out just yet. He's done it a lot where he waits for the batter to get in the box. Now that he is, still no move yet. It appears Ben King will still work with Fenwick Tremble here. Shows bunt. Puts it foul along the third base line. But this is starting to show almost similar strides to the last time these two met here at the Gov. It was Falmouth, when you'd find a run, you give it right back, especially at this point in the ball game. Already one home. You have nobody out and a runner standing at second.
It's also similar to the struggles we saw at Wareham, or at Mass Maritime against Wareham with the bullpen. We've had guys that have been really consistent. Parker Coyle, Garrett Coe, Joey Ryan, who we haven't seen in a couple of days, but those guys have been really consistent and have been really good. And then there have been a lot of guys who've shown flashes but haven't been able to get it as consistently.
Ben King not really wanting to offer him a strike here to go for, as Tremble's had to pull that bunt back on a couple that have not been all that close.
I don't hate that pitch there if he can lower it just a little bit, because he's throwing a slider up in the zone. That pitch is kind of hard to bunt, and it's really easy to pop up if you're trying to bunt.
That one, a breaking ball over the head of Tremble, and that wild pitch was not even close.
It's the second time we've seen that this inning from King, just not getting the grip on that slider at all.
Things starting to get interesting here now, though. Fenwick Tremble, does he have the bat still in his hands here, or do you just rest it on the shoulder? No bunt here. That's a strike, even though it went in and out of the glove of Luke Heyman. Trackman says it was in there. It certainly was, but sometimes umpires don't always give the calls there when guys drop it from their mitt. The Falmouth infield in on the grass, trying to keep this thing at 2. A better pitch, but it's still got a lot of plate. It's fouled away by Fenwick Tremble. That was the pitch that Eddie Micheletti beat you out to straightaway center, except being from the left-handed batter's box, it's a little bit more easier to read that pitch instead of staying with it as a right-hander. We'll do it again. That's another walk. And they're on the corners with still nobody gone. Mike Landry is out of the dugout, but making his way towards the bullpen area, closer to that side of the dugout.
And he's pointing down there. He's giving him, this is almost certainly going to be King's last batter.
It's good to get a different arm in there when the location is struggling just a bit. Plus, they've seen him relatively well here with Ben King, but Cash Thomas has had his own problems with the free passes and allowing base runners, so it would be a big confidence boost for him, right, to get in maybe a situation like this.
Yeah, and he had a lot of walks against Orleans in his debut, but
on the ground, McGregor goes back to second. The throw gets away. One will score, and because it got away, you're going to have the bat of Carpellotti move on to second. And it appears Bazzana will be tabbed with a throwing error on a ground ball to the corner.
You try to get the double play there, and you give up the run to get the double play, but you almost wonder if you would have preferred McGregor to get that ball, look back King, and just take the out at first if he really wants to try and hold that runner from coming in.
Nothing in one now. This one, back up the middle, a base hit. Got away from Humphreys, and getting the wave is Carpellotti. Another Firebird will come across.
Wheels are falling off here for the Doors in the later innings. That's 5 runs in the last 2 frames for Orleans.
Mike Landry will make that walk out. And he will go grab Ben King, who, when he first came in, got that big out back in the 5th inning to strand the bases loaded. But runs still come across here as the right-hander exits. Another righty coming in. It'll be Cash Thomas trying to settle it down here. The Doors needing 2 more outs and needing a massive end to this breakout inning from Orleans when we come back.
Falmouth Commodores have been part of the heartbeat of Falmouth since 1923. Thousands of fans flock to Gov Fuller Field each season to see future Major League ball players working to reach their dreams. All of this wouldn't be possible without the generous support of our sponsors. As a nonprofit volunteer organization, the Commodores raise funds to cover operational costs. Fans support the local businesses who back the Commodores. It's what community is all about. There are so many ways we incorporate our sponsors into the fun, whether it be banners, print ads in our program, mentions on public address and broadcast, as well as in-game experiences. So however you support the Falmouth Commodores, we thank you.
Cash Thomas will take over now for Falmouth. The right-hander brings it. But the key for him here, we'll see if he's able to get the Doors out of this situation here with already 3 Firebirds home.
Just trying to limit as much of the damage as you can because it has come in waves for Orleans. 5 runs over the last 2 innings to break this game wide open. Falmouth's going to need Cash Thomas to settle it down, and then he's going to need his offense to quickly come to life.
Cash Thomas was unable to record an out last time he appeared at Mass Maritime. Gave up 3 runs, walked 3 batters before Ben King came and got him. Before that ending of a 5-2 Wareham win. At the end of this inning, we're going to have updates on the scores if you haven't seen them already, but there is some things to look out for that are of big concern for the Falmouth Commodores. As now Cash Thomas takes over duties as the lineup card is back to the top for Jack Penny. Fastball runs inside to him at 94. Missing for a ball. Cash Thomas spending a lot of time with Steve Cishek, trying to maybe find some adjustments to his mechanics and maybe trying to help out. This will help out, though. A ground ball to Darnell. Now to Bazana, and a double play to get the Doors out of the inning. Speaking that the team was in desperate need of finding some outs, that works, and Cash Thomas does the job with that double play. It's time to stretch. But before we do that, we hear from some words downstairs on some updates. But we'll have those scores for you in just a little. Oh, she cut my mic.
So come on, guys. Come in. Let me get my boys in here. We got the man with the plan, Luke. He doesn't play around. How'd you feel today? You were a beast behind the plate.
Felt good. Doors are hot. That's all I gotta say.
Doors are hot. Stay hot. You know we stay ready, so we don't got to get ready. Here you go. Parker. He's over there. Parker, come here. Come on, come on. What's up, guys? I'm here with. What's your last name? Coyle. All right, run that back. What's up, guys? It's Big Bird here. I'm here with Parker Coyle. And if you didn't see today, he's a freaking beast, man. How'd you feel out there today?
Man,
my starter got out there. He was giving us some good innings, and the boys rallied with the bats. Put up a big 5 spot in the second, and got in there with the lead.
In other words, he just purely dominated. That's just what happened. Make sure you sign him to a free agent deal, whatever you got to do. But he's the man. Thank you. Good job, Park.
Appreciate it. Hey, the mic, Big Bird.
Where the mic? What's going on, guys? It's Big Bird here, and you already know what it is. I'm with the amazing Spiker, man. How you feeling tonight, baby?
I'm good. You know, door dub. Yeah, eating cookies. Didn't do anything tonight, but I was a great teammate. So
solid. Them cookies smell good, man. Back up, Destiny. Back up. Let me work. All right. Luke, step into the frame, buddy. You were an absolute wall behind the plate tonight. How do you feel?
Good. We got to win. That's all that matters.
That was dry. Cut that. Cash, come here. I'm here with the money man himself, Mr. Cash. How you feeling tonight, baby?
These cookies are banging.
Look. Roll doors, baby.
Roll doors.
Right-hander Matt Watson takes over here now after a relatively solid effort from Connor Eaton. They hand the ball off here to the righty to lead off against Barry Walsh.
And he was good. It's a redshirt sophomore this season at Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Second most innings pitched on the squad for the Islanders.
Watson getting a big cut and a miss there. from the Doors leadoff man. Working out of the wind here with a massive lead of insurance now after the past 2 sets of at-bats for the Firebirds. 2 and 3 runs now, a total of 5 over the last 2. Have started to get a piece here of the Commodores, who have some work to do should they want to turn the tide of the road team just dominating this series over the past couple of seasons. The 0-2. Slow chopper to short, right underneath the glove of Jack Penny. That works.
Leadoff man aboard. You'll take it.
Leadoff man aboard because of an error ruled against Jack Penny there at shortstop. The E6 presents a leadoff base runner. That's how you have to do it. Try to get the leadoff man aboard. The Doors have done that here. Now Travis Bazzana. He's got a lot of antics against this group specifically. He says he likes playing against the Firebirds. This is the last regular season meeting between the two foes. Falmouth has some work to do should they want to take 3 of the 4. Travis Bazzana was able to extend his hitting streak to 6 games with that single he had back in the first. That fastball off the plate. And 3 of the 5 games of that streak entering today have been multi-hit efforts from Bazzana. Had himself a stretch of about a couple of games after the massive hit streak ended for him where he was hitless. It's good to see him start to get going once again. Usually leads to a lot of success for Falmouth, given that the team's won 5 of its last 6 during that hitting streak stretch. But this one popped in on the diamond. Farrell will make the play for the first out.
And he's going to be frustrated with himself about that because he knows how big a spot this was for him to try and get aboard and see what they can do. You got to think Falmouth needs a couple here if they want to get back into this.
No activity in the Falmouth bullpen. Would think that Cash Thomas would come right out. No reason not to, getting that ground ball out on the double play. Was still hit hard, but again, finding outs. You can pitch to your fielders to help you out, and that's exactly what happened there. First pitch to Yannick. The fastball stays downstairs. Big home run swing from Walker in his second at-bat today. It was a solo shot out into deep left field. A big swing like that would certainly not hurt for Falmouth here.
Not at all.
Got the heart of the order, too, coming up with 3 now, and then your 4 and 5 guys due up, especially with that base runner aboard. A ball and a strike now. The Doors, after this ball game, are going to have a stretch of 6 of the last 7 being against West Division opponents, still needing one more trip to White House Field against the Harwich Mariners. That was our first road trip of the year, way long ago. June 12th was that victory for Falmouth. A 2-1 win for the Doors way back then. But then outside of that, the rest of the competition is against teams in Falmouth's division here in the West.
And going to have to push. 6 games in 6 days to finish. You really better be ready to play going down the stretch towards the playoffs, and still got to get there. Got to find a way. They look pretty good right now. Just need the 3 points like we mentioned earlier, but
Yannick waits on the breaking ball, and it's sharply to third. Trying to turn it. Not in time. Good hustle from Walker Yannick to leg out the fielder's choice. Brings in Tyler McGregor. Now Kelly Nicholson will make a trot out to the mound. Just 2 outs now recorded by Matt Watson since coming in. It is a right-on-left matchup, but with the 4-run lead, we'll see if Kelly Nicholson decides to make a move.
And 2 righties as the next 2 hitters.
Could just be a conversation, especially since you were able to pick up a second out, and that's what it looks to be. But Tyler McGregor made his debut against these Firebirds back on June 28th. Hitless tonight so far, but reached on a walk back in the 3rd. But that started a run of 7 consecutive games for McGregor finding a hit. He was a large part to why the Doors went on that run of 11 wins over the next 14 games for Falmouth.
Cape League Player of the Week that week after debuting for the Doors.
Yes, he was. Usually when he's swinging the bat well, good things happen for Falmouth. On the ground here to the shortstop, Penny, to the right of second base. And it's in and out of the glove of Hallback. Oh, my. That's the second error of the inning for the Firebirds, one that certainly should have gotten them out of the inning, but just pops out of the glove of Hallback.
And now you've got yourself a chance to make that hurt. Need to put up a couple, though.
Still have the tying run in the on-deck circle. For Luke Heyman now, really good bat to have in this spot for the Doors. The Gator has reached twice today. Has driven in 1 back in the 1st. Trying to make the 2 mistakes here hurt the Birds, but they might get out of it here. Into right. And the play's made by Fenwick Tremble to retire Falmouth. The 2 errors make it dicey, but through 7, the Firebirds lead by the score you see there. And now we'll tell you about those important updates around the Cape League that have a lot of value and meaning to the Commodores. And with that, we send it downstairs to Destiny Sanchez.
Thanks, guys. A few scores around the Cape. The Hyannis Harbor Hawks shut out the Whitey Red Sox 8-0. Caps defeated the Chatham Anglers 5-1. The Wareham Gatemen lead the Harwich Mariners 6-3 in the bottom of the 8th. And the Katuitt Kettleers lead the Bourne Braves 8-7 in the top of the 7th. We'll catch you on the other side of the break. You're watching Falmouth Commodores Baseball.
Cash Thomas toes the rubber once again for the Doors. Got that double play, a 4-6-3 to escape a jam that halted a 3-run frame from the Firebirds, who have put up 5 over the last 2 innings to change the part of this ball game now. A sharp line drive back up the box. A base hit to lead it off on the Cash Thomas fastball.
a good swing. But Thomas is around the zone right now, and that's what you like to see from him. When he's finding strikes, things are good.
That's definitely the big notable difference. He's got stuff for those strikeouts. There's no doubt about it. Each of his first 2 outings for Falmouth, the longest being just a 2-inning effort against Brewster, a 9-2 win for the Doors. 3 strikeouts in each of those first 2 outings for him. First pitch going. The throw down. Skips through the glove of Bazana. It leaks into center, but good chase by Sean Darnell. That's a swipe bang for Drew Farreau. And once again, these Firebirds staying pesky with another runner in scoring position.
He found something. He got a really good jump there. Knew exactly when to go on Thomas.
Last time Eddie Micheletti came in, had the 2-run double that gave the Firebirds the lead. 5-3. Back there in that 6th inning of play. Here in the top of the 8th, Falmouth trying to keep this thing where it's at, but some more trouble to work against here. That fastball got a lot of plate, but it's fouled off. Micheletti now officially 2 for 11 against the Doors this season with that double he had in the previous at-bat. Came up empty here. Cash Thomas lowers that fastball and gets a swing over the top of it.
I know he gave up the hit and then that stolen bag, but I've liked what I've seen from him so far. He's been much more consistent today than we've seen him at any point this summer.
Wave and a miss on another fastball. Just up and away, gets a good cut and a miss, and that is the first strikeout from Cash Thomas since just a couple of outings ago. He hadn't had any over the last 2. Comes up big there for a good first out in this inning.
We've said it all year long. When he's around the zone, he has electric stuff. Just had to dial in the control, and he looks like he has, at least so far tonight.
Now it's Matt Hallback. Nearly got in trouble for that error he had in the previous inning. And he finds trouble here for Falmouth. A base hit into left center. Farreau's easily going to score. And another RBI knock over the last couple of innings. The Firebirds pretty loudly have put up runs in 3 consecutive innings. And the lead stretches to 5.
This game looks really similar to the game a couple of weeks ago here when Braden Davis started against Katuitt, and it was really close going into the late innings, and then Katuitt just opened it up in the 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Albeit the Doors did have a nice effort there in the 9th, putting up some runs, 3 to be exact, but it was a 12-5 loss for Falmouth back then.
The Doors are going to see that same Katuitt team coming up soon.
That'll be Friday night, Lowell Park, after our off day tomorrow. Unless we see a Herculean effort here by Falmouth. We'll also have to keep an eye, again, I mean, scoreboard watching at its finest. Right now, the Doors just a point ahead of the Bourne Braves, sitting in 3rd place in the West. The Braves were down by a big number to Katuitt. Right now at Dorn Park, it's 8-7 Katuitt. The Braves are battling back, giving fits to the division leader right now. And should the Braves find a way to win that ball game, the Doors will flip-flop should those scores hold.
We've seen those teams go back and forth over the last couple of weeks. They're going to go at it on Sunday night from Dorn Park, and probably won't be a more pivotal game in the West Division the rest of the way, except for maybe a Katuitt Hyannis matchup down the road in next week, because that could decide the top of the division.
Falmouth will have to see each of those 3 teams we just listed at least one more time. Katuitt being the team with the asterisk next to it. We see the Kettleers twice before the season ends. A chopper towards third. Great play by Yannick. And this one gets away. This game's been a little bit sloppy here now in the later stages. Hadn't really gotten bit by having a catcher play third base, but that throw was off the mark.
It was. It's a play that's tough for him because he's ranging so far to his left, kind of snow-coned it, and isn't in his smooth throwing position because of it, and just continues to bite Falmouth.
Well, when the situation got tough with runners on the corners last time, Cash Thomas was able to get a ground ball out for a double play. Doors could certainly use one of those here with Eddie King Jr. stepping in now. But over the last 3 innings, these Firebirds have not held back, not even a little bit. Yanked that slide piece off the plate away from Eddie King Jr. Orleans, the way it's trending, got a nice loss from YD earlier today out in Hartford at the Yard Goats ballpark. Nice showcase for the Cape League to have Hyannis and YD play ball in a minor league field. But with that loss that YD suffered and the way this one's trending, these Firebirds are only going to be 5 points back of first place in the East Division. Albeit there's certainly probably some tiebreakers in the head-to-head category, but in terms of catching up to Big Brother in the division, the Firebirds' effort here over the last several innings has certainly helped towards that cause.
It definitely has. And Orleans, if they're able to hold on here, is going to get back over 500. Falmouth not in danger of falling back down to that 500 mark tonight, but they've been in that back and forth spot already.
Nice fastball by Cash Thomas here, and behind the count 3-1. Able to get us full here. Cash made his debut against these Firebirds. Was a tough outing for him. Went an inning and 2/3, gave up 2 runs, 6 walks for the righty from Duke. Going on the pitch as this one spiked in the ground. The runner was going anyways, but now the throw might be able to come in time. It gets away from Yannick. The wild pitch extends the opportunity to move to the corners. And another run comes in on that wild pitch. It's now 9-3.
When it gets bad, it gets worse right now for the Doors. Tonight, it just continues to escalate and snowball into these later innings.
The situation remains exactly what it was, except now one more run tallied on, with Fenwick Tremble stepping in now. Big bat went after that first pitch fastball. There is activity in the bullpen. Nolan Moore throwing for Falmouth. We mentioned that Joey Ryan would probably be available tonight. No way you see him now, given the way this game's headed. Want to save him probably on a lot of rest with the off day, too, against the Kettleers. And for a team that does not steal bases, really taking advantage of the situation right now, another stolen bag for these Firebirds.
They're pushing it. The other thing for Falmouth that this really hurts right now is a game that's pretty out of reach for the most part. The first tiebreaker after head-to-head is runs allowed, and this continues to push that number higher for Falmouth. Already 8th in the league in it. It's going to continue to get worse.
Eddie King Jr. standing there at second with the 3rd stolen bag tonight by these Firebirds.
They average less than 1 a game entering the night.
Only 32 entering the contest. That stolen base is going to be the reason that a couple are going to score. It got away from Humphreys. Fenwick Tremble is going to go to second. And they're going to rule that one a 2-run double. No mistake charge to Nate Humphreys. And it's now double digits for the Firebirds, 11-3.
And it sure doesn't feel like it, but this game was 2-2 entering the 6th inning.
haven't seen a ball game like this across any of the three matchups between these sides. The Doors fell 5-4 here against these Orleans Firebirds the first matchup. Falmouth a 4-3 victor the second time. And then a 6-3 winner in that fog cancellation sort of / weird situation. We thought we were getting canceled. Didn't happen. Bazana's cycle game made it 6-3. They've all been tightly contested. Certainly not the case, at least to this point now, even though it was not too long ago. 0-1. An unbelievable pick by Luke Heyman there. That saved another wild pitch from occurring. Four already home here, and Falmouth still needing 2 more outs. Off the end of the bat, and it's going to get down. And that's going to be a double.
Bazana going back. Turley tried to call him off, then Bazana called for it, and they both got out of the way. That's just really been the story of this ballgame for Falmouth so far.
Not many positives on that play, but the fact that he had to wait, Trimble had to hold up to see if that was getting down or not. He did not score on that. He just stands at third now. It was only able to advance 90 feet. And this long inning continues. 1-0 now to the 8th hitter to see an opportunity this inning. It was long when Ben King was in this ball game. Cash Thomas got that double play, but this inning it's been tough for Cash. To the credit of Thomas, hasn't really had a whole lot of help from his defense either. Just some unfortunate situations there, like that blooper that gets down into left.
And those hurt the pitcher the most because that's not an error technically. It's still going to count against his line.
Executed the pitch. You got him to not get any of it. Just saw it off. That's sometimes how this game works. Still has the stuff. Coming in at 93 on that wave and a miss. A chopper and through. It's going to be a 2-run single from Colin Tuft. And the Firebirds have put up 6 on Falmouth here in the 8th.
Really isn't much else you can say with how this inning is gone.
As bad as it is, as we'll now see Nolan Moore come in, it might just be one of those games that you have the off day tomorrow and you just have to flush it.
No other choice. Back at it. Still got a lot of baseball left to be played this summer.
It's been a tough inning for Falmouth. Nolan Moore comes in to try to settle it down when we return.
Kids have big league dreams. Do they want to learn from the stars of tomorrow? Then check out the Falmouth Commodores Summer Baseball Clinics, where kids from the ages of 5 to 14 can hone their skills in pitching, hitting, fielding, and catching with help from the best college players in the nation. The clinics run from June to late July, and the 6 four-day sessions are divided by age group and experience level. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Give your kids a summer of baseball and a lifetime of memories.
Go Doors!
looking for 2 outs, as it's been a carousel here in the 8th inning for the Firebirds, as if their 5 runs over the previous 2 innings weren't enough. They've bested that by putting up 6, with only 1 out still in this 8th inning alone.
Nolan Moore is going to need a ground ball here. Try to shut down as soon as he can.
Unless there is that ground ball, the Firebirds are set to bat around. Drew Farreau led off the inning with a base hit. He's in the on-deck circle. Jack Penny to this point, 2 knocks, has come in to score twice. One of them being his home run he hit so long ago, it feels like.
Oh yeah, back in the 3rd.
Got the Firebirds on the board after the Doors took a 1-0 lead in the 1st inning. Looked like Falmouth was well on its way to another early run scoring productive effort. Breaking ball hung up. Barry Walsh will make that play. And that is the first out for Falmouth since an Eddie Micheletti strikeout, who is in the on-deck circle now.
It's unraveled quite a bit. Just want to limit this and get out of here as fast as possible if you're Falmouth.
Drew Farreau, that single he had to lead off this inning, has him back in there now. And a sharp ball here to Bazzana. Long throw across the hole, and he throws it away. It got out of play, so Farreau will move to second. That allows now Colin Tuff to move on to third. Another error for Falmouth.
With 2 away, all these runs now, at least if you're looking for positives on the pitching side, any more runs this inning will be unearned.
Well, now you turn to Eddie Micheletti. Had a strikeout at first out of this inning. He steps in for the 2nd time already here in the 8th. It's a tough play for Bazzana reaching back into the hole there, Zach, but he planted his feet and just sailed the throw.
He's not used to that type of throw, playing a lot of second base. It's a long throw, and he knew that. It almost, like maybe he overcompensated, just sailed on him.
McGregor's tall over there, too, 6'3". Gave it everything he could in his vertical there, but still was not able to grab that baseball. And that's a strikeout to end the inning. A long one at that. One that puts this ball game, you would think, out of reach, but still 2 more sets of at-bats for the Falmouth Commodores before this one's all said and done. 6 come across on a handful of mistakes by the Commodores. It's all Firebirds going to the bottom half.
Priscilla Peruzzi and been a host family for the 2nd year. We found that every single player, even those that weren't staying with us, were polite, respectful, and really appreciated what you were doing for them.
After a while, they were bringing home players, and they were always hanging out down in the man cave.
Almost every day is another memory that you make. We even have friends of ours that will text us and let us know, did you see what happened? We've gotten a lot of other people supporting them as well.
Got to find a way to turn the page, and you've got plenty of very meaningful games of baseball after this one.
You do. There's 5 of the last 6 for Falmouth. Only 1 game after that to finish out this regular season. At the end of the day, you're not going to really improve your playoff standing today, but you're going to find yourself going into that stretch needing either 2 wins or 1 win and a Wareham loss, and you lock up a spot either way.
Bottom of the 8th at Doran Park. It's 8-7 for Cotuit still in a very impactful game for Falmouth. The way this is going, and with that game as well, Falmouth would still be in 3rd place in the West should every score hold of those 2 games. Meanwhile, the Gatemen in the bottom of the 8th inning still on top by 3, so Wareham will be able, the way this is looking, to move up a little bit in terms of being in Falmouth, but as you mentioned earlier, the way it's looking, the Doors just need to kind of inch their way across the finish line at this point in that playoff locking up scenario.
Because at the end of the day, once you get in, you're in.
And it's a gauntlet in the West. Expected to take on Hyannis or Cotuit in that first round matchup as this one gets away. If it's Cotuit, you would think it would be a road matchup in the series for Falmouth. However, there's still very much a realistic possibility that Falmouth could get up to the 2. They're still technically not even eliminated from the 1, but
they're pretty close, though.
That's right. Going up the ladder is Turley. Jay Casey, a late substitution here in this ball game. He makes the play and left for the first out. Point being, because it's so tight in the West, Zach, we really can't even tell you what we think's going to happen, because you see outings like tonight where you kind of get blindsided in terms of Falmouth winning 5 of the last 6, pitching being as locked in as it's been, aside from the handful of walks. But the way this one's unraveled, very unlike anything we've seen from Falmouth in quite some time.
Definitely not ideal, but time to keep it moving, build some momentum towards that break. Also, the end of that Wareham-Harwich game, Harwich, the tying run thrown out at the plate.
On the ground, Stallman, a good throw in on the infield grass for out number 2. What a game it was there, though, as you just were, we'll get back to that, Zach.
Yeah, it looked like I was trying to find the end of that one, and it looked like that tying run just couldn't get in for Harwich. Big throw to end it, and a 1-run win for Wareham. Really helps to keep themselves alive.
It's very slim and very minimal. But you're right. I mean, statistically speaking, it absolutely still could occur. With Caleb Hall in there now. Big cut and a miss. So an off day tomorrow, and then Falmouth gets back to it at Lowell Park. A place that the Doors are yet to win a ball game this season against the Kettleers over there. And then the two teams have split affairs here at the Gov.
That's going to be a big game. The next 3 are going to be really big for the Doors. You've got Cotuit, and then you've got a matchup with Wareham and a matchup with Bourne. Those 3 games are going to really set the tone for this final stretch.
Falmouth will stay at 40 points. Hyannis' win earlier will move them to 48. So you're 4 games back.
With only 6 to play, that's going to be really tough. You're probably going to be looking at a battle with Bourne for 3rd place.
Which, as you've said for so many important reasons, yes, you're not getting the home field advantage in that first series, Zach, but should the event occur that the 4 seed upsets the 1, if you're the 3 and make it past that first round matchup, suddenly you're hosting on your way to the championship series.
And it's really possible with this year's West Division that something like that happens, because all 4 of these teams have been so good this season and have played really good baseball at times and shown flashes. Any of those 4 teams could very realistically find themselves not only winning the West Division, but winning the Cape League as a whole.
I don't know the exact time, but it was certainly a long while of Matt Watson sitting on the bench before coming out for his 2nd inning of work, and he works a 1-2-3 against the Doors. 10-run lead still intact on our way to the final inning here from the Gov.
I'm called the boards. My name's Evan O'Toole. Hi, this is Travis Pizzana from Oregon State University, and I'm going to be drawing our Beaver logo. I'm going to be drawing the Raging Cajuns logo. And I'll be drawing the Oklahoma State logo. Bad. All right, this is what I got. This is terrible, but it would have helped if we had some orange, but.
Nolan Moore came in there and got the doors out of that tough inning. It's been a tough day for Falmouth to remember here on this day, but way back in '76, it's a pretty cool day between the Cape League and doing some cool stuff at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, a couple of notable names on that team, but one of them that'll definitely stick out, Buck Showalter on that Cape League All-Star team.
And the Cape guys got the victory in that game. First pitch swinging. Good sign for Falmouth here. Pizzana another chance at it. Makes good use of this 6-3 putout for the first out.
He had a couple shuffles to him there. He made sure that he was going to deliver that throw on target.
Stallman will work in now. Reached on that throwing error from Yannick. Was trying to record a 5-4 to help turn a double play. Instead, the throw sailed into right field. Pitch off the plate here. Nolan Moore behind in the count here. Moore, saw him last time, earned the save in a 13-3 win for Falmouth here at the Gov against Bourne. It was because he threw more than 3 innings. So he was able to earn the save in a 10-run victory for Falmouth, which is actually the same situation that Matt Watson is probably going to get himself into as we go into the bottom of the ninth.
We'll see. There's actually 2 arms warming in the pen for Orleans. We'll see if either of them come in or if they're just trying to get some bullpen work in, because you've got spot where Watson could just finish this game off if he wanted to.
Nice job to fight back in this count and to get a Sean Darnell to Tyler McGregor put out right there for out number 2. But also, Zach, for what it's worth, too, I mean, trying not to use another arm. Could a lot of it maybe have to do with just trying to keep Watson's pitch count down a little bit? So instead of maybe not having him for the next outing, you know, you could maybe save him from being on the shelf for a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You've got your closer warming in Sean Madsen. I don't know that I would bring in my closer in a 10-run game, but it's also been a few days since he's thrown. And so at the end of the day, like, I understand why they will if they do, because he's a guy that is going to need the work. This is still a scouting league. This is still a chance for these guys to show what they can get.
Well, even in a miserable stretch of time here for Falmouth, you're getting some pretty good work from Nolan Moore, who delivered a really good pitch there off the plate. It was his changeup here that was just barely fouled off. But Nolan Moore has looked pretty solid here for the Doors. King Jr. just barely kind of casting his arms at that one. 0-2. About to hit the 3-hour mark of our broadcast here tonight. We were moving pretty quickly until the stretch of innings here with all these runs. On the ground. And Pizzana pulls him off the bag. They're going to rule that an error on Pizzana. But that ball's taking him close to shallow left field. And that is the 4th mistake credited here against the Doors.
That's a tough one.
Humphreys backing up here, and right up against the fence will make the play. A 0 to close off a stretch of runs for these Orleans Firebirds. Keeping it where it's at right now, and it's the last ups for Falmouth on the other side.
The Falmouth Commodores merch shop is the one place to go for all your Commodores merchandise. Check out our full collection of hats, including the official game hats of the Commodores, along with shirts of all kinds. And for those colder nights, don't worry, we've got you covered with hoodies and jackets. We've even got bats, balls, pins, and more for all your collecting needs. Speaking of collecting, this year the Commodores are celebrating their 100th year with plenty of Centennial merchandise. The Commodores merch shop is the one place to get your 100th year gear. All the Centennial merchandise is while supplies last, so make sure to get it before it's gone. And hey, you never know who you'll find when you stop in. And there's always something to tip your hat to. Come say hi to us under the press box behind home plate before we close up shop in the 9th. And as always, roll doors.
Sean Matson been primarily the closer for Kelly Nicholson and the Firebirds, but he hasn't pitched in a little while, so if nothing else, just getting him some work.
Yeah, he went during the All-Star game, but they're going to give him a rep here in this inning before the off day tomorrow. Just keep him feeling fresh for this playoff stretch. He's been outstanding.
He's been really, really good, earning that All-Star nod as you talked about, partner.
His first save of the summer was here, Gov Fuller Field, back on June 20th.
For what it's worth, the last time the Doors took a deficit of trailing by 10 runs into the bottom of the 9th, the team put up 3. Didn't go down without a fight, but still a tall task nonetheless to put up anything really against this arm here in Matson, who gets a weak ground ball contact from Darnell. Good communication to toe tap there for the 3-1 put out and the first out. Back to the top of the order, Barry Walsh will dig in for his 5th at bat here tonight. Has a chance to extend that hitting streak, Zach.
He does.
0 for 4 today. He did reach on a throwing error. Rather, one that got through the glove of Penny, just went under his glove and into shallow left center. 2 errors for these Firebirds tonight and 4 for the Commodores. Commodores, unfortunately, leading the league in errors this season, and that number will grow a little bit given the 4 you have on that side of the scoreboard tonight.
Well, and a lot of those errors were early in the season. They hadn't been struggling with that as much as of late, but it reared its ugly head tonight.
Got to miss. Barry Walsh struck out for the 2nd time tonight. And now Falmouth down to its final out.
Bazana's frustrated. He was swinging the bat really hard in the on-deck circle. We'll see what he can find here.
First pitch swinging. He drives this one into left center. And he's got a base hit to jump the average up a little bit, if nothing else. Hit number 2 for Bazana allows Walker Yannick to get another chance tonight.
Bazana still finding a way. That's what he does best, get on base.
Manson put that fastball right over the middle of the plate. Bazana taking it the other way, giving tonight's third baseman a chance, who gets on one out to deep left field. Going back to the wall and making the play is Casey in left center, ending this ball game. Yannick, for a second, I think we all thought he maybe had his second home run of the day. But the ball game concludes after 3 hours and 4 minutes. A tough go tonight for the Falmouth Commodores.
At the end of the day, nothing you can do about it but move on to the next one, and that's what Falmouth's going to have to do. Getting the day off tomorrow and then back at it against Kitsui on Friday.
The doors retired in order there. After you saw that base hit from Bazana, I apologize. The first 4 that came up were able to get on here. And a tough loss for the Falmouth Commodores tonight, demoting the team down to 19-17-2. Still entering this contest, the very best this team's been all year, 3 games above 500. And you said it, Zach, gotta just take the off day for what it's worth and get ready for that stretch of 6 to close out the season.
And some big games ahead. At the end of the day, it's baseball. Still counts the same as a 1-run loss.
So the Firebirds are going to get a win tonight, move closer to that top seed in the East. But we are all done with our efforts here from Gov Fuller Field, and so many helping hands to bring it to you here this evening. Ellie Fideli, our director, Audrey Glenn, assistant director, videographers listed there, McKenna Wall, Laura Schroeder, Scott Szymanczyk, helping capture all the content in what will be one that you certainly don't want to look back on if you're Falmouth, and one that for us, just got to call it as it is. And it was a tough one tonight, and that happens in this sport when you play baseball every day. As the season set will be split aside, 2 wins apiece, with the visiting team again for consecutive seasons finding ways to be the winner on the opposition's turf.
We'll see if year 101 of the Cape League sees the curse of the last few seasons broken between the Doors and the Firebirds. It's a weird one, but it's reigned true.
That it has, and the Doors kept it close, had the lead early on, made you think, hang on, maybe they could cut that stretch, but not this time. We had a good time here bringing it to you nonetheless. The Falmouth Commodores falling here to the Orleans Firebirds by the score of 13-3. We have an off day tomorrow, and then we'll join you at Lowell Park when the Commodores look to bounce back against the Kituitt Kettleers. We will see you then. But for everyone that you just saw on that screen, my broadcasting partners, Destiny Sanchez down at field level. For Zach Serdenik on the play-by-play duties, I joined him as Matt Venezia. We say so long and good night from Falmouth, and we will see you in Kituitt when the Doors see the Kettleers on Friday night.